Across the globe, stone, metal and bone quietly challenge the story told about human history. Monuments rise where none should exist, artifacts appear in layers older than expected, and carvings hint at knowledge lost to time. Each discovery defies the neat timelines textbooks rely on, forcing us to reconsider what ancient civilizations were capable of. As you move through mist-laden forests, along riverbanks and across remote mountains, you will witness these enigmatic remnants for yourself. You will encounter the Olmec colossal heads of Mexico, explore the submerged Yonaguni Monument of Japan, and study artifacts from caves, temples, and forgotten cities. Each piece invites you to question the official timeline and uncover secrets that have long remained hidden. The Gobekli Tepe Enigma, Turkey. High above the plains of southeastern Turkey, where limestone breaks through dry soil and the wind carries dust across a horizon that has changed little in 10 millennia, a series of ancient stone circles challenges the accepted order of human history. This place is Gobekli Tepe, and its age alone forces a confrontation with long-held assumptions. Radiocarbon dating of organic material from its earliest architectural phases places construction around 9,600 BCE at the dawn of the pre-pottery Neolithic. That date situates these monuments thousands of years before Stonehenge, before the pyramids, and before the first urban centres of Mesopotamia were established. For much of the 20th century, scholars described a steady progression towards civilization. Agriculture produced food surpluses, surplus enabled permanent settlement, settlement allowed social stratification, and only then did organised religion and monumental architecture emerge. Gobekli Tepe does not follow that progression. Its earliest layers predate clear evidence of domesticated crops in the immediate region, yet its builders organised labour on a scale that implies hierarchy, planning, and shared cosmology. The existence of such a site suggests that collective belief and ritual coordination may have been present before farming villages reshaped the landscape and before permanent architecture was thought possible. The mound itself was noted during a 1963 joint survey by the University of Istanbul and the University of Chicago, but the protruding stones were dismissed as remnants of a Byzantine cemetery. Decades passed before German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt revisited the ridge in 1994 and recognized the distinctive T-shaped forms emerging from the soil. Excavation quickly revealed circular and oval enclosures carved partly into bedrock and partly constructed with fitted stone walls. The realization that these structures belonged to the 10th millennium BCE transformed what had once seemed an unremarkable hill into a focal point of global archaeological debate. Each major enclosure contains two towering central pillars surrounded by a ring of smaller monoliths set into carefully constructed retaining walls. Some pillars rise more than 5 meters and weigh up to 20 tons, their surfaces smoothed and squared with remarkable precision. The symmetry of the layout suggests intentional design rather than gradual accumulation. Entrances appear narrow and controlled, directing movement inward toward the paired central stones. The architectural planning visible in these spaces indicates conceptual foresight, implying that builders possessed not only technical skill, but also a shared vision of how ritual space should be structured and experienced. Carved across the limestone are reliefs of animals rendered with deliberate attention to posture and detail. Foxes move in profile with elongated bodies. Snakes undulate along edges. Wild boars display curved tusks, and vultures spread angular wings. The repetition of certain species across different enclosures suggests symbolic significance rather than decoration. These animals were part of the surrounding ecosystem, yet their prominence in stone implies they occupied a deeper role in the spiritual imagination of those who gathered here. The carvings remain among the earliest known large-scale figurative artworks in human history, predating similar monumental imagery by thousands of years. On closer inspection, several central pillars reveal anthropomorphic features that complicate interpretation further. Carved arms extend downward along the sides of the T-shaped shafts, ending in hands clasped across the front. In some cases, belts and stylized loincloths are depicted in low relief, transforming abstract monoliths into towering human-like presences. These details suggest that the pillars may represent ancestral figures, deities, or mythic beings whose identities are now irretrievable. Their placement at the heart of each enclosure implies that ritual attention focused on these silent forms, reinforcing the impression of organised ceremonial practice centred on symbolic authority. The logistical challenge of creating such structures is difficult to reconcile with a purely nomadic society. Quarry sites identified on the same ridge show where limestone blocks were cut directly from bedrock using stone tools. Experimental archaeology indicates that moving pillars of this size would require coordinated teams using ropes, wooden sledges and levers. The shaping of surfaces and carving of reliefs demanded time and skilled craftsmanship. Such sustained labour implies seasonal gatherings or semi-permanent organisation, suggesting that communities were capable of cooperation far beyond what earlier models of hunter-gatherer life allowed, and perhaps governed by ritual obligation. Material remains within the enclosures provide insight into the activities conducted there. Excavations have uncovered large quantities of animal bones, especially from gazelle, aurochs and wild equids, many bearing cut marks and signs of marrow extraction. The density of these remains indicates large communal feasting events rather than ordinary subsistence. Grinding stones and flint blades are common, yet domesticated plant remains are rare in the earliest phases. This pattern supports the interpretation of Gobekli Tepe as a ceremonial gathering site, where dispersed groups assembled periodically, bringing wild game to sustain collective ritual and reinforcing alliances through shared consumption. One of the most enigmatic aspects of the site is the deliberate burial of its structures. After periods of use, entire enclosures were intentionally filled with limestone fragments, soil and cultural debris, sealing the pillars beneath artificial mounds. This was not an accidental collapse. The fill appears systematic and purposeful, suggesting ritual closure rather than abandonment due to disaster. The act of burying monumental architecture that required immense effort to create raises questions about changing belief systems or social transformations that compelled communities to conceal their own sacred spaces, preserving them in silence for millennia. Beyond Gobekli Tepe, nearby sites such as Karahan Tepe and other contemporaneous settlements in southeastern Anatolia display related architectural features and symbolic motifs. This indicates that the phenomenon was not isolated but part of a broader cultural horizon. The clustering of ritual centres across the region implies networks of interaction among groups that shared iconography and construction knowledge. Such interconnectedness at so early a date challenges assumptions that long-distance cultural exchange emerged only after agriculture fostered population growth and permanent settlement, suggesting instead that shared belief bound communities first. The chronological proximity of Gobekli Tepe to the early domestication of einkorn wheat in the region introduces a possibility that unsettles traditional causation. Genetic studies identify southeastern Anatolia as a centre for the domestication of certain cereal crops. Some scholars propose that repeated large gatherings for ritual and feasting may have increased demand for reliable food supplies, encouraging experimentation with cultivation. If communal belief required predictable sustenance, then spiritual obligation may have driven agricultural innovation, reversing the long-accepted narrative in which farming gave rise to religion and social hierarchy. Today, only a portion of the mound has been excavated, and geophysical surveys reveal that many more enclosures remain concealed beneath the surface. Each excavation season adds architectural complexity and artistic variation, without resolving the core mystery of purpose and meaning. The absence of written language leaves interpretation dependent on stone, bone and spatial arrangement. What stands on that ridge is evidence of organised thought and collective identity at a time when humanity was presumed to be too scattered for such achievements, leaving scholars to reconsider the very foundations of civilization. If these pillars were raised before fields were planted, then the true origins of civilization may lie buried below beliefs far older than agriculture itself. The Antikythera Mechanism, Greece. In 1900, a diver's hand brushed against a strange encrusted bronze object while working the seabed near the Greek island of Antikythera, unaware that it would rewrite the history of ancient technology. The object rested amid a scattered shipwreck, its surfaces coated in marine sediment and coral, obscuring the delicate craftsmanship within. What appeared at first to be nothing more than a lump of corroded metal would later reveal the precision of interlocking gears capable of modelling astronomical cycles. Even the most seasoned archaeologists could not have imagined that a single fragment of bronze could so dramatically challenge the assumed technological capabilities of the ancient Mediterranean world. Among the shipwreck's cargo of amphorae, marble statues and luxury goods, the corroded fragments initially seemed like ordinary remnants of centuries beneath the waves. Divers carefully hauled pieces to the surface, cataloguing them alongside pottery and bronze artifacts that had long been considered typical of the late Hellenistic period. The mechanism, however, was largely overlooked in the initial recovery, its small size and damaged state masking the extraordinary intricacy hidden within. Its true importance only became apparent years later, when specialists began examining the structure of its bronze components, revealing an object that had no equivalent in surviving records or material culture from the same era. It was only when archaeologist Valerios Stais examined the pieces in 1902 that the unmistakable teeth of interlocking gears came into view, startling the academic world. The gear teeth, carefully shaped and evenly spaced, immediately suggested mechanical function rather than decorative purpose. Scholars struggled to comprehend how such precise technology could exist at a time conventionally considered centuries away from advanced mechanics. The complexity implied a deep understanding of ratios and motion, an expertise that could manipulate abstract astronomical knowledge into a physical, functional device, something previously thought impossible for the 1st century BCE. Careful measurement showed dozens of bronze gears arranged with precision, their ratios corresponding to cycles of the moon, sun, and likely planets. These interdependent wheels were calculated to track the Metonic cycle, a 19-year alignment of solar and lunar calendars, among other astronomical phenomena. The precision with which these gears meshed indicated that the device was designed to operate continuously without major adjustment, suggesting that the builder possessed not only mechanical skill but also sophisticated knowledge of astronomical theory. Such integration of mathematics and engineering challenges assumptions about technological limitations in the Hellenistic Mediterranean, raising questions about lost craftsmanship and knowledge. Reconstruction efforts revealed a device capable of predicting eclipses, modelling celestial motion, and tracking complex calendrical cycles. Spiral dials and pointers represented both solar and lunar movement, and some researchers argue that it could approximate the irregularity of the moon's orbit and predict upcoming celestial events. Each surviving fragment contributes to a picture of a compact, functional analog computer, a concept that historians believed was exclusive to the medieval period or later. The mechanism demonstrates a level of scientific sophistication previously thought impossible, and its survival as a submerged relic leaves only tantalizing clues to the culture that produced it. Historians were forced to confront an uncomfortable reality. The Hellenistic world possessed mechanical knowledge that vanished without leaving a clear lineage of successors. If such devices were created, why do we see no widespread adoption? The absence of parallel artifacts or manuals suggests either extreme rarity or deliberate concealment. The Antikythera Mechanism remains the only known example of such complex engineering from antiquity, making it both an anomaly and a puzzle. Its existence implies that technological innovation may have been far more advanced than surviving material evidence indicates, and that much knowledge from this era may have been lost entirely. The intellectual climate of Rhodes and other Mediterranean centres of learning may have nurtured advanced astronomy and mathematics, but the full scope of their practical application remains elusive. Scholars have suggested connections to mathematicians like Hipparchus, who developed detailed models of lunar motion, yet no direct documentation survives linking him to a device of this complexity. The mechanism may represent the apex of Hellenistic mechanical ingenuity, a rare synthesis of theoretical understanding and physical execution, produced by engineers capable of translating abstract calculations into tangible, functional instruments that could track the heavens with remarkable accuracy. No other artifacts of comparable mechanical sophistication have survived, creating a silence that suggests a lost tradition of engineering whose disappearance is as puzzling as its existence. Unlike monumental architecture, which endures above ground for centuries, portable metal devices are vulnerable to corrosion and loss. The Antikythera Mechanism alone survived by sinking to the seabed, preserving its fragments for over 2 millennia. Its isolation highlights the fragility of knowledge and the arbitrary ways in which history preserves or erases human achievement, leaving modern scholars to reconstruct a lineage that may otherwise have been completely obliterated. Modern imaging techniques, from X-ray tomography to high-resolution surface scanning, finally exposed inscriptions and internal mechanisms, revealing an intricate network of dials, pointers, and spiral scales. Thousands of Greek characters etched into the bronze offered clues to its functions, including the calculation of lunar phases, eclipses, and calendrical cycles. Each layer of imaging peeled back centuries of corrosion, allowing researchers to digitally reconstruct the mechanisms without damaging the fragments. The meticulous work illustrates how contemporary science can uncover hidden sophistication from civilizations once thought technologically limited. Despite its small size, the Antikythera Mechanism functioned as a portable representation of the cosmos, condensing the motions of planets and the moon into a compact instrument. Its creators had translated the abstract celestial universe into a mechanical simulation that could be held in a hand. The contrast between the device's miniature scale and the vastness of the knowledge it embodies is striking, emphasizing both the genius of its design and the gulf of time that separates it from subsequent mechanical innovations. In this way, the mechanism serves as a window into human intellect at a moment when history believed such capability impossible. By demonstrating astronomical computation with bronze gears, the mechanism challenges assumptions about technological progress and forces historians to rethink the capabilities of ancient civilizations. It rewrites a portion of the historical timeline in which humanity was assumed to lack precision engineering, showing that highly sophisticated, mechanically integrated instruments existed long before similar technologies re-emerged centuries later in medieval Europe. The implications extend beyond archaeology into the history of science, revealing that knowledge can appear, flourish, and vanish, leaving only fragmented evidence that teases the imagination of future generations. Excavations at the shipwreck continue to yield fragments, hinting that other components of this extraordinary device may still be hidden, awaiting discovery in layers of sediment. As diving technology advances, researchers hope to uncover additional pieces that could clarify its full functionality and potentially reveal similar mechanisms elsewhere in the Hellenistic world. Each fragment recovered renews fascination and deepens the mystery of who built these devices, why they were so rare, and how such knowledge could have been lost to time. The story remains unfinished, a puzzle suspended between bronze and the sea. And somewhere in the depths of that ancient wreck, more pieces of this lost instrument may remain, holding secrets of a sophisticated science that vanished before it could be recorded. The Baghdad Battery, Iraq. A small clay cylinder sat among broken pottery in a Parthian ruin, its unremarkable appearance masking a design that would later puzzle the world. At first glance, it resembled nothing more than a domestic vessel, its terracotta exterior dull and weathered, mottled with age and sediment. But closer inspection revealed intentional craftsmanship. The cylinder's interior housed a carefully shaped copper tube surrounding an iron rod, sealed meticulously with asphalt. Even in its fragmentary state, the artifact radiated purpose. Scholars would later recognize it as unlike anything commonly found in Parthian settlements, hinting at knowledge of forces that official timelines insist were unknown. Encased within terracotta, the iron rod rested snugly inside the copper tube, creating a tight assembly that suggested more than passive storage. The asphalt seal prevented leakage, a simple yet effective solution to protect whatever processes might have taken place within. Its modest dimensions, roughly 14 centimeters in height, concealed a sophisticated design. Each material, clay, copper, iron, and asphalt, appears to have been selected for its chemical or physical properties. The juxtaposition of common and conductive metals within a sealed vessel immediately raised questions about its intended function, suggesting that its creators may have understood interactions between materials in ways that challenge historical assumptions. Excavators initially treated it as a mundane vessel, cataloguing it alongside amphorae, cooking jars, and everyday pottery. No one suspected that within this simple container lay a mechanism capable of generating energy. It was photographed, measured, and stored without fanfare. For decades it remained an oddity in a collection of Parthian artifacts, overlooked amid more obviously decorative or monumental objects. Only careful study would reveal that the artifact's design bore hallmarks of intentional engineering. Its materials, configuration, and sealed construction hinted at experimentation with chemical principles far ahead of its time. Careful examination revealed the artifact's true peculiarity. It might have functioned as a galvanic cell, producing electricity centuries before formal understanding of the phenomenon. Wilhelm Koenig, the archaeologist who first proposed this in the mid-20th century, suggested that the cylinder could generate a small voltage when filled with acidic liquid. The hypothesis was met with skepticism, yet it explained the choice of metals and the carefully sealed interior. No other Parthian artifact suggested practical electrical knowledge. The suggestion of a battery existing 2,000 years ago challenged the timeline of technology, opening debates about the limits of ancient experimentation. Traces of acidic residue on the metals suggested that, when combined with a liquid such as vinegar or fermented juice, the cylinder could produce a weak electrical current. Experimental reconstructions have confirmed that the arrangement of copper, iron and acid could indeed generate voltage. The possibility that Parthians had observed or exploited electrochemical reactions introduces questions about their broader understanding of natural forces. Could this small cylinder have been a test, a prototype, or even a tool for practical application? Its existence implies that the scientific knowledge available in antiquity may have been far more advanced than surviving documentation suggests. No other contemporary artifacts exhibit such precise metalwork or potential electrical function, making this device a singular anomaly within Parthian material culture. While tools for metallurgy and ceramics are abundant, nothing else displays the intentional integration of conductive metals and insulating materials in a sealed assembly. Its uniqueness has sparked both fascination and debate among historians, who struggle to contextualize it within known technologies. The artifact's existence raises questions about how much knowledge has been lost and how narrowly survival has shaped our understanding of ancient capabilities. If it truly operated as a battery, the implications for the history of electricity are profound, challenging the assumption that electrochemical principles were unknown until the modern period. Its presence suggests that Parthians could manipulate chemical reactions intentionally, perhaps for plating metals or other experimental purposes. Even a low-voltage current could have been used to coat objects with gold or silver, leaving a permanent metallic sheen. The very possibility that ancient engineers harnessed energy in this way forces reconsideration of their technical and experimental sophistication, revealing an entirely overlooked dimension of ancient science. The artifact's find spot, among domestic wares and workshop debris, suggests practical application rather than ceremonial use. Its placement in a functional context implies that experimentation with electricity, if that was its purpose, was part of everyday craft or technological exploration. The absence of ritualistic markers or symbolic decoration strengthens this interpretation. Rather than an object of worship, it appears utilitarian, its design optimized for function. This ordinary environment housing extraordinary ingenuity heightens the mystery, suggesting that everyday life in the Parthian world may have included experiments that exceeded the expectations of modern historians. Scholars have debated its purpose for decades. Was it a functioning battery, a vessel for chemical reactions, or a misunderstood domestic tool? Opinions range widely, from dismissing it as an anomaly to seeing it as evidence of a lost tradition of energy experimentation. The lack of definitive documentation and the rarity of comparable artifacts leave interpretation speculative, yet each analysis points to deliberate construction and functional intention. This ambiguity keeps the artifact alive in academic discussion, its silence as compelling as any inscription, demanding that its story be pieced together from fragments of evidence and modern scientific inquiry. Modern reconstructions have successfully generated small currents with replicas, demonstrating the plausibility of electricity generation, though the exact historical methods and applications remain speculative. Researchers have experimented with various acids and combinations of metals, producing measurable voltage that mirrors the theoretical output of the original cylinder. These experiments confirm that the Baghdad Battery was not merely symbolic, but functionally capable. The act of reproducing its electrical properties centuries later underscores both the ingenuity of its original makers and the depth of mystery surrounding its intended application, bridging past experimentation with contemporary understanding. Hypotheses for the cylinder's use include electroplating precious metals, medicinal applications, or other chemical reactions that require controlled energy. Each potential application underscores the sophistication implied by its construction. If electroplating was the goal, it represents a manipulation of materials that was not thought to be achievable until the industrial era. Medicinal or chemical experiments suggest a practical application of electricity for treatments or chemical synthesis, again far ahead of documented history. The ambiguity of purpose enhances the artifact's enigmatic presence, inviting speculation grounded in plausible science rather than mythology. Even after decades of analysis, the cylinder resists classification, leaving its technological and historical significance suspended in mystery. Despite the scientific reconstructions and careful chemical analysis, no single interpretation has been universally accepted. The artifact sits quietly in collections, observed and studied, yet still defying simple explanation. Its modest dimensions conceal extraordinary implication, a testament to experimentation and understanding that modern scholarship struggles to place within the historical record. The Baghdad Battery embodies a fleeting glimpse of advanced ancient science that may have appeared briefly, then disappeared without a trace. Silent beneath museum glass, the tiny clay cylinder hints at a fleeting mastery of forces that vanished before the world could record them. The Piri Reis Map, Ottoman Empire. A fragment of parchment, delicate and yellowed with age, reveals a world that was already known in astonishing detail, centuries before conventional maps would catch up. Its edges are frayed, and patches of ink have faded, yet the surviving sections display coastlines traced with remarkable precision. Scholars first marvelled at the careful depiction of Africa's western shore and the jagged outline of South America, noting the unusual accuracy for a chart created in 1513. The map's survival was almost accidental, rescued from obscurity centuries later, yet even in fragmentary form, it challenges assumptions about the limits of early 16th century cartographic knowledge. Ink lines trace coastlines with surprising precision, while annotations in flowing Ottoman script hint at a network of sources both contemporary and ancient, meticulously compiled by a skilled hand. Compass roses, latitude indicators, and decorative flourishes blend artistry with empirical observation, suggesting a cartographer who was both scientist and artist. Small notes provide context for sailors, indicating islands, harbours, and navigational hazards with care. The interplay between visual aesthetics and functional detail emphasises the map's purpose as a practical instrument, rather than a purely ceremonial artefact, while hinting at knowledge drawn from a lineage of now-lost charts. Piri Reis, an admiral of the Ottoman Navy, assembled this chart amid the bustling maritime world of the early 16th century, balancing imperial ambition with scholarly curiosity. He had access to extensive naval records, first-hand accounts from explorers, and previously unknown maps, which he combined into a coherent representation of the known world. The map reflects both strategic interest and intellectual rigour, a tool that would have guided voyages across the Mediterranean and into the Atlantic. Piri Reis's meticulous handwriting, detailed coastlines, and carefully noted hazards indicate a deep understanding of navigation and a desire to record knowledge systematically for future use. Certain stretches of South America and the African coastline appear with accuracy that defies expectations, and portions of the southern continent raise questions that have yet to be resolved. The curvature of the continents, the relative distances, and the depiction of river mouths and bays suggest access to surveys or navigational knowledge far beyond what European explorers had charted by 1513. Scholars note that some southern landmasses appear in ways that hint at ice-free coastlines, leading to speculation that Piri Reis had access to extremely ancient or otherwise lost geographic sources. The precision of these drawings makes the map not only a historical artifact but a puzzle to decode. The map itself contains notes describing the use of older charts, including fragments from explorers such as Columbus, suggesting a lineage of knowledge that has otherwise vanished from history. Piri Reis explicitly cites his sources, noting that he combined information from Greek, Arabic, Portuguese, and Spanish documents. Many of these charts have not survived, making the Piri Reis map a rare repository of multicultural cartographic information. Its annotations reference islands, rivers, and coasts no longer represented in contemporary sources, implying that the admiral preserved knowledge that would otherwise have been lost to time. Some scholars speculate that unusual features may represent the Antarctic coastline free of ice, a controversial claim that challenges assumptions about early geographic understanding. While the southernmost portions of the map are fragmentary, their shapes and latitudes suggest that Piri Reis or his sources might have had knowledge of continents far beyond the commonly known world. Critics debate whether this reflects imaginative extrapolation, misinterpretation of older sources, or actual observation from ancient voyages. Regardless, the mere suggestion of a detailed depiction centuries before confirmed discovery adds layers of mystery to the artifact and compels continued examination of its origins. Compared to contemporary European maps, the Piri Reis chart displays a level of detail and precision unmatched for its time, hinting at access to sources no longer known. Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese maps from the early 1500s often contained significant distortions, whereas the Piri Reis map aligns surprisingly well with coastlines known today. Its combination of empirical observation and inherited knowledge suggests an advanced understanding of geography, navigational principles, and the ability to synthesize information from diverse cultures. The result is a map that transcends its era, offering a glimpse into a broader historical awareness of the world. Debates persist among historians and cartographers, questioning whether Piri Reis's accuracy is the result of exceptional compilation, lost ancient knowledge, or unknown voyages. Some argue that he had access to Greek or Phoenician sources that recorded coastlines now submerged or altered, while others propose that he was an extraordinary synthesizer of contemporary reports. These discussions highlight the challenge of interpreting fragmentary evidence, as the map exists at the intersection of documented history and unexplained achievement. Its anomalies invite speculation, but also careful scholarly consideration, making the map an enduring object of intrigue. References to earlier civilizations, now largely vanished, suggest that the map may preserve glimpses of long-forgotten geographic awareness, layered into a single enigmatic compilation. Piri Reis mentions consulting charts produced by explorers whose names and works are lost to history, implying that some knowledge had persisted across centuries. The precision with which coastlines are rendered suggests more than guesswork, hinting at systematic observation or records that have not survived. The map, therefore, serves as both a historical document and a repository of mysteries, challenging the linear narrative of discovery and revealing that ancient or medieval civilizations may have possessed knowledge more advanced than often assumed. Portions of the parchment are missing, including areas that might reveal further southern continents, while handwritten notes tantalize with hints of knowledge that has not survived. The fragmentary state of the map leaves gaps in our understanding, provoking endless questions about what Piri Reis knew and what sources he could access. Margins include references to islands, navigational hazards, and sometimes obscure annotations that have no surviving context, suggesting information once common among mariners but now lost. The incomplete nature of the artifact enhances its mystique, emphasizing both the limits of human survival and the persistence of knowledge across centuries. Modern analysis using geospatial techniques, historical cross-referencing, and careful examination of the map's materials has confirmed surprising alignments, yet many anomalies remain unexplained. Researchers have used satellite imaging, coastal comparison, and digital reconstruction to verify features that align closely with real-world geography, while certain depictions remain baffling. The Piri Reis map continues to provide insight into early navigational practice, yet it also preserves unexplained accuracies that challenge historians to account for knowledge sources that seemingly could not have existed at the time. The Piri Reis map continues to provoke wonder, a document that straddles the line between historical fact and the mysteries of exploration, preserving both clarity and uncertainty. Its lines and annotations hint at centuries of accumulated knowledge, some accessible, some lost, yet all condensed onto a single sheet of parchment. Scholars and navigators alike are drawn into its enigmatic contours, fascinated by the skill of its maker and the depth of its sources. The map endures as a bridge between eras, a reminder that knowledge can appear, persist, and vanish, leaving tantalizing fragments for future generations to study. Folded into a palace archive for centuries, the map waits silently, its coastlines whispering of voyages and knowledge that history has largely forgotten. The Saqqara Bird, Egypt. A small wooden figure, unearthed within a Saqqara tomb, immediately drew attention for its unusual shape, suggesting design rather than mere decoration. Found in 1898 amid a collection of funerary artifacts dating to the First Dynasty, the object resembled a bird, yet its proportions were strikingly different from other figurines of the era. Its wings were elongated, and the tail was finely carved, prompting early observers to wonder whether the figure was purely symbolic or had some functional aspect. The artifact's survival over millennia, its careful construction, and its unusual form mark it as a tantalizing enigma that challenges assumptions about ancient Egyptian craft. Its carefully carved wings, tail, and streamlined body demonstrate craftsmanship that hints at an understanding of balance and proportion rarely associated with the First Dynasty. The bird measures approximately 15 centimeters in length, yet the subtle tapering of its wings and curvature of the fuselage suggest consideration of aerodynamic principles. The grain of the wood is smoothed to precise angles, while small details along the tail feathers display an artistic attention that blurs the line between artistry and engineering. Every facet of the figure invites speculation, as if the maker intended it to function, or at least to replicate in miniature, the form of a creature capable of flight. Placed among funerary artifacts, the bird occupies a space typically reserved for symbolic objects, yet its form evokes curiosity about potential practical function. Tombs of the First Dynasty often contained figurines, amulets, and ritual objects meant to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. Yet this particular object stands apart. Unlike other representations of animals or birds, it is simplified, elongated, and balanced in a way that recalls a glider or model aircraft. Its positioning in the tomb alongside everyday items and offerings suggests it may have been valued for more than mere symbolism, hinting at a dual purpose that bridged ritual and experimentation. The slender wings and elongated fuselage resemble the contours of a glider, provoking questions about whether its maker observed principles of motion or simply followed aesthetic conventions. Some researchers note that the angle of the wings, the slight curvature of the tail, and the tapering of the body all contribute to a form that could theoretically allow short-distance flight. This observation raises possibilities about early Egyptian observation of birds, understanding of lift and balance, or even playful experimentation. While there is no direct evidence that the object ever flew, its design challenges conventional ideas about what early Egyptians could conceive in terms of physical principles applied to objects. Compared to contemporary Egyptian toys, amulets, and ritual figurines, the Saqqara Bird is exceptional, diverging sharply from the artistic norms of its time. Most artifacts from the First Dynasty were either stylized symbols or literal representations of daily life. In contrast, this figure's elongated and minimalistic design emphasizes geometry and form over decorative detail. Its proportions are neither exaggerated nor purely ornamental, they suggest intent. The object appears unique in the archaeological record, and this uniqueness has fueled curiosity, prompting comparisons to experimental models in other ancient cultures and sparking questions about the limits of knowledge and ingenuity among Egypt's earliest dynasties. Researchers have speculated on multiple purposes, ranging from a ceremonial symbol to a child's plaything, or even a deliberate experiment in aerodynamics. Some propose that it was a ritual object representing flight or the soul's journey into the afterlife, consistent with symbolic motifs in Egyptian funerary culture. Others suggest that children might have played with similar figures, tossing them to observe motion and balance. A more provocative idea is that the figure served as an intentional model to explore flight mechanics, centuries before the first documented gliders in other cultures. Each interpretation adds layers of intrigue, keeping the artifact suspended between practicality and symbolism. Modern replicas tested in wind tunnels and open-air experiments reveal that the figure could, under precise conditions, glide short distances, adding a layer of plausible functionality. Engineers and experimental archaeologists have constructed full-scale reproductions adjusting for weight, wing angle, and center of gravity. Some trials demonstrated that the bird could maintain stable flight over a few meters, though results varied according to environmental conditions. These experiments suggest that the maker may have understood, at least intuitively, how shape affects motion through air. Even if such a flight was incidental or symbolic, the object's aerodynamic potential is undeniable and invites speculation about the sophistication of early experimentation. Interpretations vary regarding the intent behind the artifact, with engineers highlighting aerodynamic features and Egyptologists emphasizing symbolic explanations, leaving its true purpose unresolved. No textual evidence explains why the object was created, and no similar artifacts have been conclusively linked to experiments in flight. Yet the elegance of its form continues to spark discussion. Some argue that it reflects careful observation of birds, translating their natural design into miniature form, while others insist it remained a purely symbolic or ritual object. The artifact thus exists at the intersection of artistic expression, empirical observation, and the unknown, keeping its story open-ended and compelling. If the Saqqara Bird reflects intentional experimentation, it suggests that ancient Egyptians may have explored physical principles of air and motion far earlier than documented elsewhere. Its design implies observation, planning, and iterative crafting, hinting that the culture may have valued inquiry alongside spiritual and artistic expression. Such insights challenge assumptions about technological sophistication in the First Dynasty, suggesting a level of curiosity and intellectual engagement often overlooked. The bird, small as it is, may represent a rare window into experimental thinking in prehistory, where careful observation of nature could inspire practical or proto-scientific investigation. Within a global context of enigmatic artifacts, it hints at fleeting experimentation in prehistory, where practical observation and ritual symbolism sometimes intersected. Similar objects in other regions often combine abstract art with functional principles such as miniature boats, mechanical toys, or aerodynamic models. The Saqqara Bird's placement in this pattern suggests that ancient cultures might have occasionally tested hypotheses through small-scale models. While these experiments rarely left written records, their survival as artifacts preserves a whisper of intellectual curiosity. Each carved figure thus becomes a conduit, offering glimpses of the minds who sought to understand the natural world through tangible forms. Gaps in the archaeological record, including the absence of similar objects and incomplete documentation, deepen the mystery surrounding this small, elegant figure. The Saqqara Bird is singular in the known First Dynasty tombs, with no closely matching contemporaneous artifacts discovered. Limited excavation records from the period obscure context, leaving researchers to piece together its significance from comparative analysis and inference. Its survival appears almost accidental, yet it endures as a testament to creativity and observation. The missing links provoke continued inquiry, reminding us that much of early human experimentation remains invisible to history, preserved only in rare and enigmatic fragments. Even today, the artifact captivates researchers and enthusiasts alike, bridging art, archaeology, and science in a single silent testament to ancient curiosity. Its form continues to inspire debate, experimentation, and imaginative reconstruction, drawing attention not only to the skills of its maker, but also to the broader intellectual landscape of early Egypt. Exhibited in museums and studied in laboratories, the Saqqara Bird symbolizes both the ingenuity and the limits of knowledge in prehistory. Each observer is drawn into a dialogue with the past, as the figure quietly embodies a question that has persisted for over 4 millennia. How far did human curiosity reach in an era we often consider primitive? Nestled within its tomb for millennia, the Saqqara Bird whispers of a fleeting curiosity about flight that may have vanished long before history could fully record it. The Yonaguni Monument, Japan. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, divers encountered massive underwater terraces and angular formations that defied immediate explanation, sparking heated debate among scientists and enthusiasts alike. First observed in 1987 by marine researcher Masaki Kimura, the site appeared as a series of enormous stone platforms descending into the ocean, their sharp edges and rectilinear shapes suggesting deliberate arrangement. The initial dives revealed features that could hardly be ignored: flat plains, right angles, and what resembled stairways leading into deeper waters. From the moment they were discovered, these formations challenged conventional assumptions about prehistoric architecture and the timeline of human civilization in the region. Giant stone blocks, some weighing several tons, rise from the seabed in stepped layers, creating the impression of structures painstakingly arranged rather than sculpted by natural forces. The terraces stretch over hundreds of meters, with flat surfaces that seem almost too precise to occur randomly. Vertical cuts and angular breaks further enhance the sense of deliberate shaping, though waves and currents have smoothed some edges over millennia. observers note that the block's alignment is inconsistent with purely geological fracturing, prompting speculation that someone, somewhere, may have once lifted and arranged these stones with skill and intention that modern engineers find difficult to replicate. Flat planes intersect with sharp corners, and linear grooves trace patterns that suggest careful planning, leaving observers to wonder whether ancient hands left them behind. Some formations resemble giant steps descending in perfect succession, while others take on terraces reminiscent of architectural design found in later civilizations. The geometry is uncanny, particularly when viewed in full from above or with sonar mapping equipment. Each dive seems to reveal new angles and planes that defy simple explanation. Even experienced marine geologists are left questioning whether the structure is purely natural or a remnant of a civilization that has been lost to rising seas and centuries of erosion. Geologists argue that natural processes, including tectonic activity, erosion, and sediment shifts, could produce some of the shapes observed, yet the precise angles and symmetry challenge purely organic explanations. The region is tectonically active, with underwater faults and seismic movement capable of splitting rock in dramatic ways. Yet many of the flat surfaces, terraces, and intersecting planes appear unnaturally straight, forming rectangular patterns that rarely occur in natural fracturing. Water erosion can smooth and round edges, but it does not account for the repetition of steps and linear alignments. This tension between geological possibility and architectural appearance has fueled nearly 4 decades of debate. Divers report an eerie sense of scale as sunlight filters through the water, illuminating terraces and stair-like formations that seem impossibly intentional. Swimming alongside the massive stone blocks, one can feel the enormity of their construction, imagining the effort that would be required to move or shape them with primitive tools. Some of the terraces appear wide enough to accommodate gatherings or ritual activity, while the angular protrusions resemble walls or platforms. The combination of natural currents, shifting sand, and marine life gives the site a haunting, otherworldly quality, as though it has lain in silence for centuries waiting to be understood. Comparisons with other prehistoric megalithic sites around the world reveal startling similarities, raising questions about early human architectural capabilities. The geometric precision recalls the stepped platforms of Mesoamerican pyramids or the alignment of Stonehenge's standing stones, though Yonaguni predates, or at least challenges, the known timeline for such large-scale construction. Some researchers suggest that knowledge of moving and shaping enormous stone blocks may have existed far earlier than previously believed, while others caution that coincidences in shape alone do not prove intentional human design. The juxtaposition of familiar architectural forms with underwater mystery leaves a lingering uncertainty that refuses simple explanation. Determining the monument's age remains difficult, as submersion due to rising sea levels obscures any reliable dating methods for when it was first shaped or exposed. Scientists examine surrounding sediment layers and coral growth to estimate that the structures may have been above water between 10,000 and 12,000 years ago. This period coincides with the end of the last ice age, when global sea levels rose dramatically, submerging coastal settlements worldwide. If man-made, the monument implies human activity at a time traditionally considered too early for such advanced stone construction, forcing a re-evaluation of our understanding of prehistoric capabilities in East Asia. Some stone surfaces show fractures and cuts that could hint at tool use, though distinguishing them from natural wear continues to challenge experts. Close inspection of certain edges reveals linear striations and chisel-like impressions that may indicate intentional shaping, though critics argue that tectonic pressure and erosion could mimic such marks. The terrace's right angles and seemingly smooth steps reinforce the impression of design, yet the lack of associated artifacts complicates interpretation. Each dive brings fresh evidence and fresh questions as researchers document the formations with sonar, photography, and careful measurements, slowly building a record that alternates between clarity and ambiguity. Opinions diverge sharply between marine geologists and archaeologists, with some insisting the formations are accidental, while others see evidence of a lost civilization. Advocates of a man-made origin point to consistent right angles, terrace patterns, and stair-like structures that would be nearly impossible to form naturally. Skeptics counter with examples of naturally fractured sandstone, arguing that earthquakes, currents, and underwater sediment shifts could create similar impressions. The debate is complicated by the site's remoteness, challenging dive conditions, and the lack of consensus on what constitutes conclusive proof of prehistoric construction beneath the waves. If the monument is man-made, it implies sophisticated engineering and planning, suggesting a culture capable of monumental construction long before recognized history allows. Such a society would have needed knowledge of stone shaping, lifting techniques, and urban planning, and it would have existed in a world very different from today's historical models. Submersion would have hidden its traces for millennia, erasing evidence of settlement and culture above water. The possibility raises profound questions. How much knowledge has been lost to rising seas, and how many other enigmatic sites remain hidden beneath the oceans, silently challenging our understanding of ancient human ingenuity? Recent underwater surveys and 3D mapping have revealed new terraces and channels, yet every discovery seems to deepen the mystery rather than resolve it. Sonar imaging exposes straight edges, large flat platforms, and angled channels that suggest complex planning. Some sections appear to link terraces in a network of steps and walls, hinting at structures that once had purpose and use. Each dive produces photographs and measurements that fuel discussion, but no definitive conclusion has emerged. As technology improves, so too does our awareness of the site's scale and complexity, leaving researchers with more questions than answers. The Yonaguni Monument endures as a site of fascination, where shifting tides and shadows blur the line between natural formation and deliberate human design. Marine archaeologists, oceanographers, and historians continue to return, drawn by the uncertainty and the site's undeniable presence. Its terraces, steps, and angular planes spark imagination and analysis, embodying the tension between skepticism and belief. Even after decades of investigation, the monument challenges preconceptions, prompting reflection on what ancient humans may have accomplished, and what may remain hidden beneath the ocean's depths. Shrouded in currents and centuries of silence, the Yonaguni Monument remains an immense enigma, silently testifying to a civilization lost to the ocean and to time itself. The Sacsayhuaman Stone Walls, Peru. The jagged stones of Sacsayhuaman weave together like an enormous irregular puzzle, their massive shapes interlocked with precision that defies explanation. Stretching across the ridges above Cusco, Peru, the walls form terraces that rise and curve in geometric perfection, drawing the eye to edges and corners that seem impossible to achieve with primitive tools. Observers are immediately struck by the scale and audacity of the construction, wondering how countless massive blocks were quarried, transported, and aligned with such precision. Even after centuries of exposure to wind, rain, and seismic activity, the stones retain a meticulous fit, provoking awe and enduring mystery. Each polygonal block fits seamlessly with its neighbours, some weighing over 100 tons, as if ancient architects had mastered techniques now lost to time. No mortar binds the stones. Instead, each surface has been shaped to interlock perfectly with the next, leaving not a sliver of space between them. The irregular yet precise polygons resist easy categorization, demonstrating a mastery of geometry far beyond what historians typically attribute to pre-Columbian civilizations. Walking along the walls, it becomes difficult to imagine a method that would allow humans to shape and position these massive stones without mechanical assistance or modern technology. Historians and engineers alike struggle to imagine how prehistoric builders could have quarried, transported, and shaped such enormous stones without modern machinery. Some of the stones were extracted from distant quarries, requiring the coordination of hundreds of workers, yet no records or artifacts survive to explain these processes. Theories of levers, rollers, and ramps abound, but none fully accounts for the precision with which the stones interlock, nor for the astounding uniformity in their massive surfaces. Each angle and contour seems intentional, as if every block were a piece of a larger puzzle conceived by architects whose methods remain elusive. The walls stretch along terraced ridges, their curves and angles tracing patterns that suggest both defensive purpose and ceremonial design, hinting at ingenuity that surpasses expectation. The fortress-like structure dominates the landscape, overlooking valleys below, yet its terraces also allow light, shadow, and perspective to interact in ways that suggest aesthetic intention. Narrow pathways wind between the massive stones, and strategic vantage points overlook Cusco, implying careful planning for both practical and symbolic purposes. These terraces do not merely function as retaining walls, they communicate a level of design sophistication that inspires both admiration and puzzlement. While commonly attributed to the Inca, certain sections may predate them, hinting at an earlier sophisticated culture capable of monumental engineering. Some experts note that the irregular stone shapes and construction techniques differ from those of other Inca structures, raising the possibility that Sacsayhuaman incorporates pre-Inca foundations. Carbon dating and stratigraphic studies suggest multiple phases of construction, but the precise origins of the earliest stones remain a topic of debate. If older civilizations contributed to the walls, the site represents knowledge and skill far beyond what is typically documented for the region at the time. Despite centuries of seismic activity, the massive stones remain tightly joined, their resilience standing as a silent testament to construction methods still unexplained. The Andes are prone to earthquakes, yet the walls have endured with minimal damage, thanks to the stone's irregular shapes, weight, and interlocking angles. This seismic resistance is remarkable, as even modern buildings struggle to withstand similar tremors. Observers cannot help but marvel at the implicit understanding of physics embedded in the design, as if the builders anticipated forces that would test the structure for centuries to come. Speculation about the builders continues to intrigue researchers, some theorizing lost tools or techniques that allowed precision shaping of these massive, irregular blocks. Ancient chroniclers mention enormous workforce mobilization, yet there is no clear account of engineering methods capable of producing the wall's intricate geometry. Some suggest that Sacsayhuaman may be evidence of a civilization with technical knowledge that has since vanished, while others propose iterative construction over generations, each layer refined with care. Regardless, the enigma of human capability lingers, prompting both humility and curiosity in all who study it. Modern technology, including 3D scanning and aerial surveys, has uncovered subtle alignments and hidden terraces, deepening both curiosity and the enduring enigma of the site. Laser mapping has revealed the precision with which each stone nestles against its neighbour and highlighted features previously invisible to the naked eye. These surveys expose terraces, channels, and unexpected angles, hinting at planning and design far beyond the superficial impression of a simple fortress. Each new technological insight produces questions as much as answers, emphasizing the layers of skill, intention, and mystery woven into every wall. Stonework at Sacsayhuaman evokes parallels with megalithic structures on distant continents, suggesting a universal ambition for precision and scale that transcends geography. Sites in Polynesia, the Mediterranean, and South America display similarly massive, precisely placed stones, leaving some to wonder whether human civilizations independently discovered comparable techniques or whether knowledge travelled across time and distance. The wall's polygonal construction and seismic durability resonate with global patterns, hinting at sophisticated problem-solving that may predate most accepted historical timelines. Such connections deepen the impression that Sacsayhuaman is not merely a local achievement but part of a broader story of human ingenuity. Interpretations of the wall's purpose remain varied: ceremonial platforms, fortifications, or astronomical alignments. But no single explanation satisfies all evidence. Some terraces align with solstices or cardinal points, while others emphasize visibility and defense. Ritualistic use is plausible, considering the site's symbolic dominance over Cusco, yet the architectural complexity implies more than a single function. Visitors cannot witness the full scope from one vantage point. Instead, the walls reveal layers of meaning as one moves along them, leaving observers with both awe and the persistent sense of incompleteness. The construction's scale and sophistication challenge accepted timelines, suggesting human capability in the Andes far earlier than previously acknowledged by mainstream history. Scholars who study stone cutting, transportation, and placement techniques admit that the feats at Sacsayhuaman strain credibility when evaluated against known tools and resources of the period. Some blocks would challenge teams of engineers even today, raising questions about knowledge lost to time or techniques never recorded. This persistent anomaly complicates narratives about prehistoric civilization, prompting reconsideration of human potential long before modern historical records. Today, visitors walk among the colossal stones, tracing their interlocking surfaces and angles, confronted with a mystery that has endured for centuries. Each step evokes questions about scale, design, and human ingenuity, with shadows and light amplifying the surreal sense of order embedded in the massive stonework. Archaeologists, engineers, and tourists alike leave with a heightened awareness of both the wall's physical presence and their intellectual puzzle, the site serving as a bridge between historical certainty and the unknowable feats of ancient humans. Its silence inspires reflection on ingenuity that modern observers can scarcely replicate. The Sacsayhuaman Walls endure as a labyrinth of stone, an intricate enigma that silently challenges anyone who dares to unravel the skill and intent behind their enduring precision. The Shigir Idol, Russia. Deep within the peat bogs of the Ural Mountains, the Shigir Idol emerged from centuries of waterlogged silence, its weathered surface hinting at an extraordinary antiquity. The discovery in 1890 astonished archaeologists, revealing a wooden sculpture unlike anything seen before. Standing over 2 meters tall, the elongated figure was preserved in near-perfect condition by the acidic peat, offering a rare glimpse into a world long vanished beneath layers of soil and vegetation. Even upon initial inspection, the carvings suggested symbolic complexity, hinting that humans in this remote region possessed an understanding of abstraction and ritual far beyond conventional assumptions for the era. Towering over 2 meters tall, the wooden sculpture is covered in geometric motifs and humanoid forms, each carved with a precision that confounds expectations for its age. Zigzags, lines, and concentric patterns cover the surface, interspersed with representations resembling faces or limbs. The symmetry and spacing indicate deliberate planning, while the scale of the work implies both dedication and social organization. Considering the tools available in the post-glacial landscape, the effort required to carve each figure and interconnect the symbols is staggering, suggesting a level of craftsmanship and cognitive sophistication rarely attributed to humans living 12,000 years ago. Radiocarbon dating places the idol at nearly 12 millennia old, a revelation that pushes back the timeline of complex symbolic art to a period few would imagine. Previously, scholars believed that intricate carvings and monumental symbolic expression emerged only with sedentary societies thousands of years later. The Shigir Idol now demonstrates that hunter-gatherers, navigating post-Ice Age Siberia, were capable of both abstract thought and sustained artistic endeavour. This timeline challenges our understanding of the evolution of human cognition, raising questions about other lost artworks or artefacts that might have existed in parallel but failed to survive the ravages of time. The carvings, a mix of zigzags, lines, and enigmatic figures, suggest a symbolic or ritualistic purpose, yet their precise meaning remains shrouded in mystery. Some patterns appear to represent mythological concepts, while others hint at practical knowledge or storytelling. Anthropologists have speculated that the sequences could encode ancestral knowledge, seasonal cycles, or spiritual beliefs. Yet despite decades of study, no universally accepted interpretation exists. The ambiguity of the forms, combined with the idol's size and age, fosters a sense of eerie enigma, as though it communicates across millennia, but with a language that is forever partially hidden. Encased for millennia in the acidic peat, the idol's wood survived remarkably intact, preserving not only the carvings but also traces of the environment in which it was crafted. Layers of moss, soil, and sediment clung to its base, providing clues to the post-glacial ecosystem that early Siberians inhabited. The surrounding bogs, waterlogged and cold, slowed decay, allowing the sculpture to endure long after other organic materials had vanished. Pollen and plant remains extracted from the peat offer glimpses of the landscape, connecting the idol to a specific historical environment and highlighting the extraordinary fragility and improbability of its survival. Analysis of tool marks indicates sophisticated craftsmanship requiring careful selection of wood and deliberate, patient carving far beyond the capabilities often attributed to Ice Age hunter-gatherers. Microscopic examination of grooves and incisions shows consistent depth and patterning, suggesting repeated refinement and attention to symmetry. The choice of larch wood, resistant to rot, also implies intentional selection for durability. Such meticulous preparation and execution indicate planning, skill, and perhaps even collaborative effort, revealing that symbolic expression was not merely incidental, but central to the culture that produced it. Some researchers theorize the idol functioned as a spiritual guide, a marker of sacred territory, or a talisman for early post-glacial communities navigating a harsh landscape. Its imposing size and elongated form would have made it visible from a distance, serving as a focal point for rituals or gatherings. Perhaps it represented ancestral spirits, mythic beings, or natural forces, communicating messages to those who knew its meaning. The idol's presence in a remote, desolate region emphasizes both its importance and the mystery of the people who created it, leaving behind a record that is at once tangible and inscrutable. Modern dendrochronology and conservation efforts have revealed subtle layering in the carvings, showing multiple stages of modification and thought applied over time. These layers suggest that the idol was not created in a single session but refined over years, with patterns added sequentially. Such careful development points to evolving meaning or ritual significance, reflecting changes in cultural or spiritual understanding. Researchers note that the sculpture's surfaces were smoothed and recarved repeatedly, emphasizing a dedication to perfection and permanence unusual for mobile, post-glacial societies. No other known artifact matches its combination of size, complexity, and abstract symbolism, making the Shigir Idol a singular witness to prehistoric cognitive sophistication. Unlike small figurines or portable carvings from the same period, this monumental sculpture demonstrates both ambition and conceptual planning. Its intricate geometric design suggests that early humans in the Urals were capable of abstract thought, symbolic communication, and artistic expression simultaneously, a combination rarely documented at such an early stage. The idol stands as a testament to human imagination thriving in environments often assumed to support only subsistence survival. The vertical design and repetitive motifs hint at a structured worldview, yet the cultural and spiritual intent remains undeciphered, provoking both wonder and frustration among scholars. Some hypothesize that the repeated lines and figures encode cosmological knowledge or ancestral genealogies, while others see purely ritualistic patterns intended to invoke protective or transformative forces. The structure itself, tall and imposing, forces viewers to consider human ambition in shaping not just tools or shelters, but symbolic objects capable of enduring through time and climate. Its presence challenges assumptions about intellectual and artistic sophistication in early post-glacial societies. By challenging assumptions about post-Ice Age societies, the idol disrupts established narratives about the emergence of artistic expression and symbolic thinking in early humans. Conventional timelines place advanced symbolic art far later, yet the Shigir Idol forces reconsideration of these models, suggesting humans were capable of complex thought and social organization far earlier than previously believed. The artifact underscores that symbolic intelligence, abstract expression, and ritualistic practice may have coexisted with survival strategies in harsh climates, complicating simplified histories of human development and cultural evolution. Those who study the Shigir Idol today are struck by its presence, as its elongated form and cryptic carvings evoke a connection to people whose world existed long before recorded history. Scholars and casual observers alike are confronted with a tangible remnant of a vanished culture, preserved in meticulous detail. Its geometric and anthropomorphic motifs provoke reflection on the mental and spiritual lives of those who created it, leaving modern humans to imagine thought processes, belief systems, and social structures lost in time, yet partially inscribed on this ancient wooden monument. Silent and weathered, the Shigir Idol looms as a spectral witness to a lost world, daring anyone who studies it to unravel the mind that carved its mysterious forms. The London Hammer, United States. Buried within layers of mineralized rock in the heart of Texas, the London Hammer first appeared to miners as an ordinary piece of iron, yet closer inspection revealed an object that defied both expectation and time. Found embedded in a nodule of hard rock, the hammer seemed at once familiar and impossible, a tool that should have belonged to 19th century carpenters, but was locked in geological formations that suggested a far older origin. Its discovery prompted both curiosity and skepticism, leaving those who encountered it questioning how a simple hand tool could be ensnared in rock, seemingly millions of years old. Its metallic head, firmly attached to a partially preserved wooden handle, exhibits corrosion patterns and wear that suggest prolonged exposure to environmental forces rather than recent manufacture. The iron is encrusted with layers of mineral deposits, while the wood has darkened and hardened, taking on the appearance of stone. The construction is straightforward yet precise, resembling hammers used in early industrial periods. Despite its ordinary design, the artifact's context renders it extraordinary, as the concretion surrounding it is consistent with natural geological processes that occur over vast spans of time, making the hammer's presence in such rock profoundly perplexing. The surrounding concretion, a dense and fossilized nodule formed over millions of years, embedding the hammer in a context that seems incompatible with its design and presumed origin. The rock encasing it is identified as dolomite, typically deposited in ancient marine environments. This suggests a chronological paradox. The hammer's metallic composition and wooden handle indicate human manufacture, yet the rock surrounding it dates to the Devonian period, some 300 to 400 million years ago. Reconciling these two timelines is difficult, as traditional archaeology offers no scenario in which humans could have produced metal tools at such an early stage in Earth's history. Ordinary chronologies of human civilization cannot account for such a tool in rock, purportedly dating to the Devonian period, raising questions about lost knowledge or anomalous occurrences. If the concretion's age is accurate, it implies a previously unrecognized epoch in which humans or human-like toolmakers existed, long before the currently accepted timelines. Skeptics argue for natural explanations or hoaxes, but the concretion's density and chemical composition suggest a genuine geological encasement. The hammer challenges conventional models, forcing scientists to consider possibilities that would upend centuries of understanding about technological development and the deep history of human activity on Earth. The hammer was unearthed by chance, sparking immediate curiosity and a mix of skepticism and fascination from those who first laid eyes on it. Miners were clearing rock when they noticed the object, initially assuming it was a modern implement accidentally embedded in stone. As experts examined it, the combination of metal, wood, and mineralized concretion became increasingly puzzling. Photographs circulated among collectors and scientists, drawing both serious inquiry and fringe speculation. The circumstances of its discovery, remote, unassuming, and seemingly ordinary, added to the enigma, leaving those who handled it with lingering questions about how a familiar object could be ensnared in such an unfamiliar and ancient context. Scientific examinations reveal layers of mineral deposits and oxidation that suggest complex chemical interactions over time, hinting at a history far older than conventional metallurgy would allow. The iron shows signs of natural rusting and fusion with surrounding minerals, while the wood exhibits partial petrification. Laboratory tests indicate that the concretion was formed through the slow accumulation of calcium carbonate and other minerals over centuries or millennia. These findings complicate simplistic explanations, suggesting that the artifact was embedded in its geological matrix long before anyone could have conceived of a modern hammer. The process appears natural, yet its implications strain credulity. Researchers from multiple disciplines continue to grapple with its implications, debating whether natural processes could account for the preservation or if extraordinary explanations are necessary. Geochemists analyze the composition of the surrounding rock, while metallurgists examine the hammer's head for evidence of fabrication techniques. Anthropologists consider potential human involvement in a historical context, and some fringe researchers explore alternative histories. The artifact sits at the intersection of disciplines, a puzzle that resists categorization. Each new study reinforces its authenticity, yet its age and placement remain deeply problematic, forcing a re-evaluation of how evidence and chronology are interpreted. If the hammer's context is genuine, it implies the existence of advanced tool-making capabilities at a moment in history traditionally thought devoid of such technology. Its simplicity belies a profound paradox. A utilitarian object that should have required skilled human hands appears trapped within rock that predates conventional human evolution. The thought of early humans possessing metalworking knowledge or the existence of unknown civilizations challenges established academic frameworks. Whether viewed as a cautionary tale in scientific interpretation or as a genuine out-of-place artifact, the London hammer occupies a liminal space between geology, archaeology, and speculation. leaving its story unresolved and enigmatic. Across the world, other out-of-place artifacts share a similar enigmatic quality, yet few combine verifiable metallurgical composition with the geological incongruity seen in this hammer. Comparisons with other anomalies reveal recurring patterns, objects embedded in ancient rock or encased in unexpected contexts, each resisting neat explanation. Yet the London hammer's concretion, wood preservation, and corrosion patterns are particularly convincing, lending credibility to the claim that it is far older than conventional timelines allow. Its presence suggests that humanity's past may hold episodes of lost knowledge or forgotten civilizations, hidden beneath the layers of earth and time. Experts remain divided, with some attributing the anomaly to concretion around a relatively modern hammer, and others arguing for a far more extraordinary chronology. Skeptics posit that the hammer became encased through natural mineral deposition in a shorter time span, perhaps within a century. Proponents of anomalous interpretation argue that the geological evidence indicates a much longer process, requiring millennia. Both positions present compelling arguments, yet no definitive consensus has been reached. The debate continues to highlight the tension between evidence and expectation, fact and interpretation, leaving the artifact's true story tantalizingly elusive. Collectors and researchers continue to study and display the artifact, drawn to the tension between scientific analysis and the unresolved puzzle of its true origin. Museums occasionally feature it alongside other historical anomalies, while private collectors debate its provenance and age. Each examination offers new insights into its composition, corrosion patterns, and mineralization, yet none fully resolve the underlying paradox. The hammer's narrative captivates both academic and popular audiences, inspiring reflection on the limits of conventional history and the mysteries that remain buried beneath Earth's surface. Despite decades of investigation, the London hammer maintains its eerie presence, silently challenging assumptions about time, technology, and the boundaries of human history. Its physical simplicity contrasts with the profound complexity of its context, creating a persistent tension between the artifact's apparent familiarity and the impossibility of its geological setting. Scholars and enthusiasts alike are drawn to the object's contradictions, compelled to consider possibilities that challenge everything known about human invention, tool use, and the chronology of civilization. The hammer sits quietly in its display, a relic of both human craft and enduring mystery. Suspended in stone and obscured by the layers of deep time, the London hammer dares observers to question the stories we tell about our past. The Dendera Relief, Egypt. A series of carved coils and bulb-like forms on the stone wall immediately defies explanation, suggesting a mastery of concepts that feel strangely familiar yet impossibly ancient. The shapes are precise, with elongated bulbs connected to twisting filaments that curl across the surface, as if illustrating forces invisible to the naked eye. For centuries, visitors have studied these images, trying to reconcile their unmistakable symmetry with conventional interpretations of Egyptian art. The relief's details are neither crude nor arbitrary. Every line seems deliberate, communicating something that may have been understood fully by its creators, but remains tantalizingly obscure to modern observers, straddling the line between myth and impossible knowledge. Figures are shown grasping these elongated objects, their gestures precise, as though manipulating forces or energy that remain hidden from ordinary sight. Each figure is positioned in a deliberate stance, connecting to the coils and bulbs with hands or ceremonial tools, suggesting interaction rather than passive depiction. The carvings imply a relationship between human action and the phenomena represented, hinting at knowledge of natural principles perhaps lost to history. The posture, angle, and scale of each figure seem carefully calculated, emphasizing the connection between the human form and the mysterious objects. Observers cannot help but feel the intention behind these gestures, as if they were meant to be witnessed and understood across millennia. The intricate etchings intertwine with serpentine lines and filament-like shapes, each detail compelling observers to question whether they represent symbolic meaning or a literal device. Some coils loop in ways reminiscent of modern wires, while others terminate in shapes resembling the bulbs of early electrical experiments. The patterns suggest motion and energy, creating a visual language that is simultaneously artistic and technical. These forms are not found elsewhere in Egyptian reliefs of comparable age, making their presence all the more striking. Whether viewed as allegory, instruction, or documentation, the carvings demand consideration beyond traditional mythological interpretation, prompting the question of whether the ancients encoded practical knowledge into ritualized imagery. Dating the relief to the late Ptolemaic period, around 100 BCE, scholars are confronted with imagery that challenges conventional understandings of technological and artistic knowledge in ancient Egypt. At this time, documented scientific knowledge did not include practical electricity or electrical lighting, yet the forms on the wall evoke devices familiar to those in the modern era, bridging an apparent temporal gap that stretches credibility. Historians struggle to reconcile the chronological evidence with the visual representation. The relief suggests that the ancient Egyptians may have conceptualized energy or illumination in ways that prefigure later technological development, leaving a historical puzzle that resists easy resolution and invites speculation about lost discoveries. Coiled forms and tubular shapes etched into the stone bear uncanny resemblance to modern electrical devices, provoking debate about how and why such representations exist in this historical context. The bulb shapes taper at one end and flare slightly at the other, echoing designs used in early incandescent lamps. Twisted filament-like carvings connect the bulbs to serpentine lines, almost as if illustrating circuits or conduits for energy. While these interpretations are speculative, the relief's design evokes a functional appearance that is difficult to dismiss as purely symbolic. Each line and curve appears intentional, suggesting that whoever created the carvings possessed a conceptual understanding of phenomena that modern viewers struggle to contextualize. Egyptologists suggest the carvings may depict lotus flowers emitting light, ritualistic symbolism, or mythological allegories, yet the precise arrangement resists any simple explanation. The lotus, a recurring symbol in Egyptian iconography, often represents creation, rebirth, or divine illumination. Yet the depiction here departs from standard artistic conventions, with coils, filaments, and bulbous forms integrated in ways that do not match conventional symbolic grammar. Even if intended allegorically, the carving's structure and complexity suggest a deeper or alternative meaning. Attempts to reduce the images to purely ceremonial motifs leave unanswered questions, as the combination of form, scale, and apparent functionality continues to fascinate and perplex researchers worldwide. Connections between figures, filaments, and bulb-like structures hint at an understanding of energy, illumination, or cosmic forces, blending spiritual concepts with potential technical insight. The carvings suggest a flow or transfer of power, conveyed visually through twisting lines and directional cues. Observers cannot ignore the possibility that these are representations of natural phenomena, perhaps abstracted but rooted in empirical observation. The way the figures interact with the objects implies control or channeling of this force, raising questions about whether the relief encodes knowledge of physics or engineering principles. The ambiguity enhances its intrigue, as the line between spiritual symbolism and technological depiction becomes increasingly blurred. Attempts at reconstruction and interpretation range from symbolic models to experimental designs, each exposing the ambiguity and leaving definitive conclusions frustratingly out of reach. Engineers and historians have tried to replicate the images in three-dimensional models, simulating electrical circuits, filaments, and enclosed bulbs. These exercises highlight both the plausibility and the limits of interpretation. While the forms can be mechanically imagined, there is no direct evidence that they were ever functional. Each experiment underscores the tension between modern understanding and ancient representation, reinforcing the notion that the Dendera Relief may encode principles of light, energy, or technology in a language no longer fully decipherable. Other anomalous artifacts worldwide hint at advanced knowledge in antiquity, yet the Dendera Relief is remarkable for its clarity, intricacy, and evocative resemblance to electrical phenomena. From mysterious out-of-place objects to enigmatic inscriptions, human history contains a pattern of artifacts challenging the accepted timeline. The Dendera Relief, however, is unique in blending symbolic imagery with shapes that seem engineered, not accidental. Its preservation allows modern viewers to examine the minutiae of form and proportion, creating a compelling case for its anomalous character. The relief thus occupies a space between conventional archaeology and speculative interpretation, forcing reconsideration of what ancient civilizations may have known or imagined. Interest in the relief has surged among researchers, writers and enthusiasts, fueling theories of ancient energy, forgotten technology, or esoteric knowledge preserved in stone. Popular literature often frames the carvings as evidence of ancient electricity or advanced devices lost to history. While sensationalized accounts abound, serious study acknowledges the relief's ambiguous qualities and its challenge to conventional chronology. The combination of detailed craftsmanship and apparent technological resemblance continues to captivate, ensuring the Dendera Relief remains at the center of debates about the limits of human knowledge, the interpretation of symbolism, and the possibilities of advanced concepts in antiquity. Despite extensive study, the carvings continue to perplex, offering no conclusive narrative and maintaining a delicate tension between historical context and enigmatic interpretation. Each examination provides additional insights into stylistic choices, hieroglyphic integration, and compositional balance, yet the mystery persists. Scholars find themselves weighing symbolic, functional, and hybrid explanations, none entirely satisfactory. The relief resists final categorization, standing as a testament to the sophistication and imagination of its creators. Its very existence encourages humility in the face of ancient craftsmanship, reminding us that human understanding is always limited when confronted with evidence that lies just beyond the boundaries of conventional interpretation. The relief's ambiguity challenges assumptions about human capability and the transmission of knowledge, prompting reflection on whether symbolism and technical understanding were more intertwined than modern scholarship allows. Perhaps the ancient Egyptians encoded empirical observation within ritualized imagery, preserving concepts for future generations in ways that bypass literal explanation. The carvings may have been intended as teaching tools, metaphors, or records of phenomena now forgotten. Whatever the case, the Denderolite relief resists easy classification, forcing viewers to reconcile the familiar with the unfathomable and reconsider what humans of the past might have understood about energy, light, or technology. Carved in stone and bathed in centuries of shadow, the Dendera relief hints at knowledge that refuses to be confined by the timelines we trust. The Klerksdorp Spheres, South Africa. Small metallic orbs sit embedded within ancient rock, their smooth curves and precise shapes immediately provoking questions about the forces that could have formed them naturally billions of years ago. Found in the pyrophyllite deposits near Klerksdorp, South Africa, these spheres have puzzled researchers for decades. Some are perfectly spherical, while others display subtle grooves circling their circumference, as if rotated by design. Their small size belies the profound implications of their age, and their polished surfaces reflect light in a way that draws attention to features difficult to explain. In these silent rocks, an impossible puzzle lies waiting. Under close examination, each sphere reveals subtle ridges and concentric lines, patterns that appear deliberate yet resist categorization within known geological phenomena. Some spheres possess tiny depressions or cavities, while others contain internal metallic cores, differing in density from their surrounding material. The grooves suggest rotational shaping, yet no tools or machinery exist to account for such precision billions of years ago. Researchers studying them under microscopes note microfractures that form naturally in rocks, but rarely in such uniform patterns. Each sphere challenges assumptions, presenting a paradox in which the simplest of objects carry an air of deliberate construction, despite their placement in pre-human strata. The surrounding pyrophyllite deposits are dated to approximately 2.8 billion years old, an era long before the emergence of complex life, civilizations, or even advanced tools. Embedded in layers that predate multicellular organisms, these spheres present a temporal paradox. If they are artificial, they precede any known intelligent activity by billions of years. Yet their presence cannot be dismissed as a coincidence, for the patterns, density variations, and metallic cores resist straightforward natural explanations. Scientists are forced to confront the tension between observable evidence and conventional geological models, leaving the Klerksdorp spheres as anomalies that sit at the edge of understanding. Sizes range from mere millimeters to several centimeters, yet clusters of spheres display remarkable uniformity across multiple deposits, challenging the assumption of randomness in their formation. They are rarely found in isolation. Instead, they appear in groups, almost as if intentionally arranged. The distribution defies simple sedimentary explanations, prompting questions about the forces that could generate such consistent forms repeatedly over billions of years. In their quiet presence, these small orbs seem to whisper of a process or intelligence lost to deep time, one that defies human comprehension yet demands acknowledgement. Laboratory analyses reveal unusual density variations, with some spheres containing metallic cores surrounded by mineral shells, adding another layer of mystery. X-ray diffraction and metallurgical studies have confirmed that their composition differs subtly from the surrounding rock, while grooves suggest rotational symmetry that conventional concretions rarely achieve. Some spheres appear almost too perfect, as if designed to roll or rotate, with lines resembling machining marks. Each analysis deepens the puzzle. Could geological forces alone account for this degree of uniformity and internal structure? Or does the evidence point to something far stranger, something deliberately crafted long before humanity existed? Proposed natural explanations include sedimentary concretions, mineral precipitation, and slow chemical processes capable of forming roughly spherical shapes. However, these mechanisms struggle to account for the sphere's precise grooves, metallic cores, and repeated uniformity across deposits. Many geologists admit that the spheres challenge the limits of accepted geological understanding, while alternative researchers argue that they may represent remnants of a lost technology or an unknown natural phenomenon. The spheres, therefore, occupy a liminal space between the possible and the improbable, blurring the boundary between natural formation and intentional design. First discovered during mining operations in the mid-20th century, the spheres initially drew little attention beyond local curiosity. Miners collected them as oddities, noting their unusual weight and texture, but only decades later did systematic study begin. Scientists and amateur researchers alike became captivated by their properties. From the minute grooves to the metallic cores, these studies documented features that could not be explained by conventional models, creating tension between skeptics and those proposing extraordinary interpretations. Over time, the spheres gained recognition as one of the most enigmatic out-of-place artifacts embedded directly within the Earth's ancient crust. Unlike other anomalous artifacts tied to human culture or construction, the Klerksdorp Spheres exist entirely within geological strata, without evidence of association with any civilization. They're isolated anomalies found in rock formations deposited billions of years before humans appeared. This lack of human context intensifies their mystery, leaving scholars to question whether natural forces alone could produce such precise and uniform forms. The sphere's existence highlights the possibility that Earth's geological history may conceal processes or phenomena not yet understood, suggesting a world where the line between natural and artificial is not as clear as previously assumed. Speculation surrounding the spheres ranges widely. Some suggest rare geological phenomena, while others propose that they are remnants of lost intelligence, advanced technology, or even extraterrestrial intervention. Each theory encounters significant challenges, as the evidence is incomplete yet compelling. Advocates of conventional explanations struggle with the sphere's precise features and consistency, while proponents of more extraordinary interpretations face skepticism from mainstream science. The result is an ongoing tension that reinforces the sphere's allure. They are simultaneously scientifically intriguing and narratively enigmatic, a puzzle that refuses to yield definitive answers. If artificially formed, the spheres would require reconsideration of the timeline of intelligence, technology, or intervention far earlier than current scientific consensus allows. This possibility, however remote, forces a confrontation with assumptions about Earth's pre-human history. The spheres, then, are not merely objects of curiosity. They are catalysts for re-evaluating what is possible, prompting reflection on both the limits of natural processes and the hidden capabilities of past forces. They compel scientists, researchers, and enthusiasts to ask fundamental questions about the nature of formation, time, and evidence, without offering clear resolutions. They have inspired fascination among researchers and enthusiasts alike, drawing attention as symbols of mystery, provoking thought about what the planet itself might conceal beneath its surface. Documentaries, articles, and popular science discussions frequently revisit the spheres, highlighting their potential to rewrite accepted narratives of geological and technological history. Each new generation of study uncovers further anomalies, ensuring the spheres remain relevant and enigmatic. In this way, the Klerksdorp Spheres act as a bridge between natural science and speculative inquiry, a small yet profound reminder that not all of Earth's history is fully understood. Each new analysis uncovers unexpected details, deepening the enigma and suggesting forces or knowledge that remain inaccessible to contemporary science. The grooves, density variations, and metallic inclusions continually challenge observers, forcing re-evaluation of formation processes considered mundane or impossible. While some explanations may eventually emerge, the spheres have already shifted perceptions of what is plausible within deep-time geology. Their persistent ambiguity captivates attention, inspiring both scholarly investigation and public fascination, while resisting any single interpretation or theory. Encased in stone for billions of years, the Klerksdorp Spheres continue to guard their origin, offering a silent challenge to anyone daring to explain them. The Costa Rican Stone Spheres, Costa Rica. Amid the humid lowlands and gently rolling hills, perfectly round stone spheres emerge from the earth, their flawless geometry immediately provoking questions about the hands that might have shaped them. Discovered in the Dickwis Delta and surrounding areas, these stones range from small orbs to massive boulders, all polished and remarkably spherical despite their age. The precision of their form challenges expectations of pre-Columbian craftsmanship, as no record suggests tools capable of achieving such uniformity existed at the time. Their unexpected perfection in a tropical environment sets the stage for one of archaeology's most enduring enigmas. Granodiorite, quarried from nearby sources, forms the core of these spheres, yet no discernible tool marks reveal how ancient artisans could have achieved such precise curvature. Modern analysis has shown that shaping these stones would require deliberate effort, possibly involving hammering, grinding, and polishing techniques far beyond what is documented in contemporary pre-Columbian cultures. The lack of consistent surface wear or evidence of dragging paths further complicates understanding, leaving researchers to wonder whether the spheres were carved in place or transported after formation. Each stone embodies a puzzle that mixes material science with unanswered historical questions. Spread across valleys and atop subtle ridges, the spheres appear to follow patterns that hint at intentional arrangement, suggesting purposes that elude contemporary understanding. Some form loose clusters, while others sit alone on slight elevations, creating a visual rhythm across the landscape. Archaeologists have noted alignments with topographic features such as rivers and hills, raising speculation about symbolic or navigational functions. The placement is far from random, as the spheres collectively interact with the terrain in ways that would have required planning and coordination. This integration into the natural landscape imbues the stones with an air of deliberate design that defies simple explanation. Ranging from mere centimetres to over 2 meters in diameter, their scale magnifies the visual impact, inviting contemplation of both human skill and cultural intent. Smaller spheres could be moved or handled with relative ease, while the larger ones would require teams of people or ingenious methods for transport and placement. Their proportions, when considered alongside the surrounding terrain, create a sense of presence and dominance that suggests significance beyond decoration. Observers report a nearly hypnotic effect when encountering a series of spheres, a subtle impression that they were meant to guide attention, inspire awe, or convey meaning lost to history. Soil analysis and radiocarbon dating of surrounding sediments placed the sphere's origin centuries before large, organised settlements, raising questions about the capabilities of early societies in the region. Some deposits suggest creation between 500 and 1500 CE, yet many spheres sit in soil layers that appear undisturbed, implying an even older origin. These chronological puzzles force reconsideration of pre-Columbian development, suggesting that complex artistic and technical knowledge may have existed in societies otherwise considered rudimentary. The spheres act as silent witnesses to an intelligence or culture that has left minimal traces, complicating attempts to reconcile them with conventional archaeological timelines. Speculation about their purpose spans ceremonial markers, astronomical alignments, territorial symbols, or lost technologies, yet none of these hypotheses fully account for the sphere's precision and placement. Some suggest they were used to demarcate sacred spaces or political boundaries, while others propose symbolic representation of celestial phenomena. Ritual use is also considered, with spheres potentially serving as centres for community gatherings, initiation rites, or offerings. Each theory provides partial insight, but fails to fully explain why the stones maintain such uniform shape, why they were concentrated in this specific region, and how they fit into the broader cultural narrative. While megalithic structures exist worldwide, the spheres stand apart, blending perfect geometry with the natural tropical landscape in a way that defies conventional comparison. Unlike pyramids, walls, or standing stones, these are freestanding orbs without mortar, pedestals, or architectural framing. Their tactile simplicity belies a technical sophistication, suggesting a culture capable of precision measurement, material manipulation, and spatial planning. The sphere's uniqueness reinforces their mysterious nature, challenging researchers to consider possibilities beyond local tradition, from forgotten regional practices to unknown methods that allowed for their consistent replication across multiple sites. Workers on early 20th century plantations first uncovered these stones, and many were moved or destroyed, leaving gaps in knowledge about the sphere's original arrangement. Accounts describe how labourers discovered the spheres while clearing land for banana cultivation, often using them as curiosities or ornaments. Unfortunately, many were displaced or fractured, meaning the full scale of the original layouts may never be known. Archaeologists attempting reconstruction must rely on surviving spheres and early photographs, creating an imperfect picture of intentionality and pattern. This partial loss adds layers to the mystery, highlighting both human interference and the fragility of evidence across centuries. Some researchers suggest alignments with rivers, cardinal directions, or solar events, yet evidence remains circumstantial, keeping the sphere's true purpose shrouded in uncertainty. Field studies have noted that certain spheres seem to mark pathways, watercourses, or vantage points, hinting at practical or symbolic significance. However, without accompanying records or artifacts, these patterns remain conjectural. Attempts to connect them with known astronomical cycles produce inconsistent results, suggesting either lost knowledge or coincidence. The spheres, therefore, continue to provoke curiosity, offering tantalizing hints of intelligence while leaving definitive answers just out of reach. Dense vegetation, erosion, and historical relocation complicate efforts to reconstruct the original layouts, obscuring patterns that may once have revealed cultural or ritual significance. Overgrown tropical forests, shifting riverbanks, and centuries of human activity have altered the landscapes, leaving spheres in positions that may differ from their original placement. Despite these challenges, archaeologists persist, documenting existing clusters and using modern surveying tools to hypothesize arrangements. Each reconstruction provides partial insight, but the incomplete record ensures that much about the sphere's intended interaction with the landscape remains speculative, deepening their allure. Connections to the Dikwi culture provide context but offer few concrete answers, as the civilization's records and artifacts shed little light on their reasoning for such meticulous stonework. While the Dikwis produced intricate gold and ceramic objects, the scale and precision of the stone spheres suggests specialized techniques or knowledge that remain undocumented. These cultural links provide historical anchors, yet they cannot explain how such perfect spheres were created, transported, or positioned. The stones act as intermediaries between what is known and unknown, a tangible reminder of human creativity intertwined with deep mystery. Each sphere retains a quiet presence, evoking fascination and a profound sense of wonder at a knowledge and skill that has vanished along with its creators. Observers often report a sense of awe or contemplation when encountering clusters of spheres, as if the objects carry silent messages across centuries. Scientific and artistic communities alike return repeatedly to study their properties, measure their alignment, and debate their meaning. The spheres, enduring in both form and intrigue, highlight the tension between human achievement and the limits of historical understanding, preserving an enigmatic legacy that resists full comprehension. Silent and unyielding in the tropical landscape, the Costa Rican stone spheres endure as guardians of a lost civilization's deepest and most enduring secrets. The Pawan Cave Jewelry, Indonesia. Faint traces of colour and polish on tiny beads suggest they were shaped with intention, each one a remnant of human creativity frozen in time. The objects, though small, exude a presence that belies their size, inviting careful observation of their smooth surfaces and precisely drilled holes. Archaeologists who first catalogued the collection noted that these items were not incidental. Their arrangement, wear patterns and polish all point to a purposeful creation, signalling an artistic and technological capacity in prehistoric Southeast Asia that challenges long-held assumptions about the sophistication of early human societies in this region. Each bead and pendant exhibits subtle craftsmanship, with grooves and perforations executed with a precision that seems almost modern. Some beads are symmetrical to a degree that suggests repeated practice, while others display slight variations hinting at individual artisan styles. The techniques required to create such fine objects imply tools capable of delicate work, yet the presence of such tools has not been documented, raising questions about lost technologies. The meticulous shaping and smoothing of shells and stones illustrate a culture that valued aesthetic refinement and skill, offering a window into human cognition and dexterity tens of thousands of years before the commonly accepted technological milestones in this part of the world. Layers of sediment within Pawon Cave cradle the jewellery, protecting it from both time and human interference for millennia. Excavators describe carefully peeling back the strata, revealing beads interspersed with charcoal fragments, broken tools, and traces of hearths. The sedimentary context provides a wealth of information. It records environmental conditions, patterns of habitation, and even the care with which objects were deposited. By examining the placement and layering of these small artifacts, researchers can reconstruct sequences of human activity, offering tantalizing glimpses into ritual practices, social interaction, or symbolic behavior that once took place within the dim recesses of the cave. Radiocarbon dating of nearby charcoal and organic matter has pushed the origins of these ornaments back to a time well before what traditional archaeology expected for such intricate work. Some estimates place the creation of these beads tens of thousands of years ago, predating many complex cultures in neighbouring regions. This evidence disrupts standard narratives that suggest Southeast Asia was technologically simple during this period, suggesting instead that humans here were capable of sophisticated craft, planning, and symbolic expression far earlier than previously acknowledged. The implications ripple through the study of prehistoric human development, raising questions about how widespread such abilities may have been. The scattered arrangement of beads and shells within Pawon Cave suggests more than mere storage or casual loss. It hints at deliberate placement, possibly reflecting ritual or symbolic practice. Certain clusters appear ordered, almost as if arranged for display or ceremony, while others lie near hearths, indicating daily use or personal adornment. The patterning invites speculation. Were the ornaments offerings, talismans, or status markers within the community? The absence of written records or direct explanation leaves these questions unanswered, forcing researchers to read the artifacts themselves as the only available testimony of human intention from a vanished world. Beyond their aesthetic appeal, these small objects point toward wider social networks and trade connections. Some of the shells used for beads originate from distant coastal areas, requiring movement of materials across hundreds of kilometers or exchange among groups. This suggests that even in what is often perceived as a remote prehistoric setting, communities were interconnected, sharing knowledge, objects, and perhaps symbolic meaning. The presence of exotic materials elevates the significance of the jewellery beyond mere ornamentation. It implies participation in larger cultural systems and hints at the cognitive and social complexity of the makers. Compared with similar finds elsewhere in Asia, the Pawon jewellery demonstrates unique stylistic choices, from bead size and perforation angles to the specific selection of shell and stone. While other regions produced ornamental items, few exhibit the same combination of precision, consistency, and apparent symbolic weight. This uniqueness underscores the independent sophistication of the culture, revealing a society capable of aesthetic deliberation and subtle communication through objects. The distinctiveness of these artifacts complicates comparative archaeology, raising the possibility that multiple centres of innovation existed in prehistoric Southeast Asia, each with its own approaches to artistry and social signalling. Minute scratches, holes, and polished surfaces raise compelling questions about the tools and methods used to manufacture these ornaments. Traditional interpretations suggest only rudimentary flint or bone implements, yet the intricacy seen in some beads challenges this assumption. Were their lost techniques now vanished from the archaeological record? Did artisans employ abrasives or early drilling methods unknown to us today? These unanswered questions add a layer of mystery, highlighting the ingenuity of a people whose technical skills remain largely invisible, preserved only in the delicate forms they left behind for modern eyes to marvel over and puzzle through. The potential ceremonial or symbolic functions of the ornaments remain enigmatic, though the evidence hints at meaning beyond simple decoration. Some beads may have adorned bodies during rituals, marked social rank, or acted as protective charms. Others, deposited deliberately in specific clusters or alongside certain objects, suggest intentionality tied to beliefs or community practices. Without definitive records, interpretation must balance evidence with imagination, recognizing the limits of what artifacts can reveal. Yet even uncertainty serves to magnify the aura of mystery surrounding Pawon Cave, offering glimpses into a culture whose inner world remains tantalizingly obscured by the passage of millennia. Moisture, shifting soils, and centuries of environmental change have left their mark on the delicate artifacts, complicating efforts to reconstruct their original context. Beads may have shifted from their original positions, shells eroded or fractured, and subtle colour traces faded, leaving only tantalizing hints of their initial appearance. Archaeologists must rely on careful excavation, chemical analysis, and comparative studies to understand what remains. Each fragment carries information not only about its material composition, but about the conditions in which it survived, providing insight into both the ingenuity of the creators and the vulnerability of their legacies over vast spans of time. Contemporary researchers continue to study, catalogue, and debate these objects, sometimes uncovering new layers of meaning with each analysis. The Pawon artifacts remain the subject of international scholarly attention, as methods like 3D scanning, spectroscopy, and microscopic examination reveal details invisible to the naked eye. New findings can shift interpretation subtly or profoundly, demonstrating that even small objects can carry enormous informational weight. The ongoing investigation emphasizes that the past is never fully fixed. Each bead, pendant, or shell invites further questioning and re-evaluation, revealing as much about human curiosity today as it does about the makers centuries ago. Holding a single bead, one can almost sense the continuity of human creativity, a connection stretching across tens of thousands of years. The act of crafting, decorating, and arranging objects links us to these distant ancestors, suggesting that the impulse to shape, adorn, and communicate transcends time and geography. The delicate curves, the tiny drilled holes, and the polished surfaces are silent yet eloquent, expressing a sophistication and intentionality that challenge simplistic notions of prehistoric life. These small objects allow a rare intimacy with individuals long gone, their skill and aesthetic sense surviving as a testament to enduring human ingenuity. The Pawon Cave jewelry, in its smallest details, encapsulates an entire world of ancient life, a culture's skill, creativity, and symbolic practice preserved against the odds. Each bead is a tangible bridge to the past, a subtle reminder that human sophistication did not begin with monumental architecture or metal tools alone. In a corner of a humid cave on a remote Indonesian island, these artifacts silently narrate a story of technical mastery, social interaction, and aesthetic choice, hinting at lives lived with purpose, artistry, and meaning that remain largely beyond our comprehension. The small treasures of Pawon Cave linger like echoes of vanished lives, hinting at knowledge and rituals that defy time and remain forever just out of reach. The Baalbek Trilithon, Lebanon. The enormous stones of Baalbek rise from the earth with a presence that defies comprehension, their sheer weight challenging every assumption about ancient construction. At the heart of the Roman temple complex in Lebanon, 3 colossal blocks, each estimated to weigh between 800 and 1,200 tons, form what is now called the Trilithon. The enormity of these stones dwarfs even the most ambitious contemporary engineering projects, leaving observers to wonder how human hands could have moved them thousands of years ago. Their scale, coupled with their precise placement, creates a sense of awe that blurs the line between reality and legend. Each Trilithon block stretches over 60 feet in length, with surfaces smoothed to precise lines that suggest meticulous planning beyond what conventional history credits its builders. Even today, The tools and techniques that could have shaped and positioned such mass remain elusive. The stones are cut with near-perfect edges, and the alignment of each block seems intentional, hinting at architectural sophistication that defies the technological understanding traditionally ascribed to the period. Measurements show extraordinary precision, suggesting that the builders possessed knowledge of mathematics, geometry, or surveying far in advance of any known historical record. Generations of explorers and historians have documented these giants, tracing marks of ancient tools while noting how much remains an enigma even after decades of scrutiny. Early surveys recorded chisel marks, small holes, and signs of attempted transport, yet none could fully explain the methodology used. Attempts to reconstruct the movement of these blocks using historical tools fail to replicate the feat, leaving a gap between what is physically present and what modern understanding suggests is possible. The silence of history around Baalbek deepens the mystery, implying that knowledge of these techniques may have been deliberately lost or forgotten. Moving stones that weigh hundreds of tons seems impossible without modern machinery, yet these blocks were quarried, transported, and placed with astonishing accuracy millennia ago. Even the closest quarries lie several hundred meters from the temple platform, raising questions about how friction, leverage, and manpower could have sufficed. Ancient ramps, sledges, and rollers have been suggested, but the scale of the stones stretches these explanations to the breaking point. Observers can almost feel the tension of the builder's task, imagining coordinated effort, ingenuity, and possibly methods that are no longer known to humanity. Ancient texts and scattered inscriptions offer only faint hints, leaving the purpose and method of these constructions shrouded in silence and speculation. Roman records acknowledge the temple complex but do not guide the creation of the trilithons themselves. Local myths speak of giants or supernatural intervention, a reflection of how unexplainable the structures must have appeared to those in later centuries. Archaeological silence is almost as striking as the stones themselves, and the absence of documentation amplifies the feeling that the builders' true methods and intentions remain hidden beneath the weight of time. Unlike other megalithic sites around the world, the Baalbek stones surpass anything else in size, creating a puzzle of scale that continues to baffle engineers and historians alike. While Stonehenge and Sacsayhuaman contain remarkable stonework, their blocks are dwarfed by Baalbek's, making the Trilithon an unparalleled architectural achievement. The contrast emphasizes the extraordinary challenge. Lifting, transporting, and precisely seating these colossal stones would have demanded unparalleled knowledge, planning, and coordination. Even the most advanced societies of the ancient world lacked comparable evidence of such skill, leaving Baalbek's builders as enigmatic figures suspended in history. Theories abound, from complex ramp systems to mechanical ingenuity, lost to time, yet none fully explain the precision or alignment achieved by the builders. Scholars have proposed inclined planes, levers, or pulley arrangements, imagining hundreds of workers labouring for months or even years. Some suggest counterweights or sophisticated wooden frameworks now vanished. Each theory explains parts of the process but fails to address the combination of massive weight, exact positioning, and alignment with other structures within the complex. Baalbek becomes a silent challenge, prompting speculation on whether lost knowledge or unconventional methods were applied. The placement of the trilithons hints at astronomical or ceremonial considerations, as if the builders encoded a cosmic significance into their arrangement that modern observers can only partially discern. Some researchers note alignments with solstices or celestial bodies, suggesting that Baalbek may have been more than a temple. It could have functioned as a monumental observatory or ritual centre. The thought that these stones were positioned with both architectural and cosmological precision magnifies the mystery, implying an understanding of the heavens entwined with mastery over the earth. Every line and angle invites interpretation but resists final explanation. Geological analysis confirms the stones' origins from nearby quarries, but their durability and careful shaping suggest techniques and expertise far beyond expectations for the era. The granite and limestone used were selected and prepared to withstand centuries, indicating foresight and engineering knowledge. Evidence of surface treatment and chisel marks demonstrates craftsmanship, yet no remnants of tools or infrastructure have been recovered that could account for the movement of such mass. The physical presence of the stones testifies to labour, planning and knowledge that now feels almost inaccessible to modern researchers. Modern researchers attempting to replicate the feat find themselves confronted by the immensity of the stones, unable to achieve the precision observed at Baalbek. Experimental archaeology, including scaled models and simulations, demonstrates that traditional methods cannot fully explain the efficiency or accuracy of the Trilithon's placement. Each attempt underscores the extraordinary accomplishment of the builders and heightens the sense of mystery. Observers are left not only questioning how, but also why, a question that continues to echo across centuries and generations, unanswered and unresolved. Beyond their engineering marvel, the Trilithons convey a sense of authority and vision, testifying to a civilization capable of extraordinary feats that vanish from the written record. The temple complex commands the landscape, drawing attention to human ambition and the ability to shape the environment on a monumental scale. In every massive block, in every precisely cut surface, the stones speak of an advanced culture whose achievements challenge the narratives of conventional history. Their silent presence conveys meaning that no text or inscription can fully capture, leaving only awe and speculation. Scholars and engineers alike are drawn to Baalbek, not only for its scale but for the enduring question of what knowledge allowed humans to accomplish the impossible. Every visitor, from antiquarians to modern scientists, faces the same paradox. The stones are tangible, measurable, and yet utterly inexplicable. The weight of the Trilithon seems to carry the weight of lost knowledge, reminding observers that some secrets endure beyond the reach of time, surviving in silence amid the ruins. The Baalbek Trilithons remain immovable, yet speaking silent witnesses to a mastery the world has yet to understand. The Olmec Colossal Heads, Mexico. The sheer scale of the Olmec heads immediately challenges assumptions about early Mesoamerican societies and the technologies they could have wielded. Towering up to 3 meters high and weighing several tons, these basalt monoliths were quarried and transported across dense lowland forests with methods that remain speculative. Each head is unmistakably human yet monumental, embodying an authority and presence that conveys both artistic intention and societal significance. The level of labour required implies centralised organisation and long-term planning, hinting at a civilization that possessed capabilities far beyond what the conventional timeline attributes to pre-classical Mesoamerica. Individualized features carved into each stone suggest the heads were portraits rather than generic representations. The distinct facial characteristics, broad noses, full lips, and unique expressions imply deliberate commemoration, yet there are no inscriptions or accompanying texts to identify the figures. Some researchers propose that they represent rulers, warriors, or possibly deities, but no consensus exists. The absence of contextual records leaves a gap between form and meaning, making each head simultaneously tangible and enigmatic. The artistry demonstrates that the Olmecs understood proportion, expression, and detail at a level that seems astonishing for a society often labelled pre-advanced. Moving multi-ton basalt blocks across great distances would have demanded a level of coordination and ingenuity that continues to baffle researchers today. Quarries at distant sites suggest that stones travelled tens of kilometres before being installed at ceremonial centres like San Lorenzo and La Venta. Scholars have speculated about sledges, rollers, waterways, or complex rope and lever systems, but no method has been definitively confirmed. The effort required for transport, combined with precise placement, indicates highly organised labour forces and planning. It also raises the question of how a society without metal tools or beasts of burden managed such monumental undertakings with apparent success. Evidence of complex social organisation emerges from the labour implied in quarrying and sculpting the heads. Organising teams to move stones, oversee construction, and maintain workforce coordination requires hierarchy, leadership, and long-term logistical planning. The scale of the project suggests not only technical knowledge, but also political and ceremonial authority, capable of directing large numbers of people. This implies that the Olmecs had social structures sophisticated enough to mobilize communities, maintain order, and achieve consistent results across multiple sites, challenging conventional assumptions about the timeline of state-level complexity in Mesoamerica. The precision of the sculpting techniques raises questions about the artisans' expertise, their tools, and the methods passed through generations. Close examination of the basalt surfaces reveals deliberate shaping, careful finishing, and attention to symmetry, suggesting knowledge of geometry and spatial reasoning. Chisels, hammerstones, and abrasion techniques could have been used, yet no tool has survived that definitively explains the process. The skill evident in each head indicates a level of training and specialization within the society, implying that artistic mastery was cultivated and valued long before classical Mesoamerican civilizations arose. Patterns in head placement hint at ritualistic, political, or symbolic purposes. Some are oriented in alignment with plazas, mounds, or causeways, suggesting more than decorative intent. The spacing, grouping, and positioning may have marked sacred ground or ceremonial zones, yet interpretations vary widely. While many heads appear clustered, others stand isolated, raising questions about the principles guiding their installation. The careful sighting of these colossal forms signals deliberate choices, though the reasons, whether astronomical, spiritual, or commemorative, remain speculative, shrouding the Olmec landscape with a lingering sense of deliberate mystery. No other early civilizations produced sculptures of comparable scale and realism, highlighting a technological and artistic achievement that seems far ahead of its time. Contemporary societies, even those with advanced metallurgy or stoneworking, rarely achieved such monumental individual portraiture. The heads stand apart in the archaeological record, prompting debates about knowledge transmission, innovation, and lost techniques. Their existence forces a re-evaluation of what early Mesoamerican civilizations were capable of, suggesting the Olmecs achieved feats that contemporary scholarship struggles to contextualize, defying assumptions about the developmental trajectory of ancient societies. Archaeological discoveries of ramps, platforms, and tools illuminate part of the construction process, but leave critical logistical questions unanswered. Excavations at La Venta reveal remnants of earthworks that may have facilitated transport or positioning, yet none offer a complete solution. Where patterns on basalt blocks hint at friction and movement methods, while tool marks suggest incremental shaping techniques. Even with this evidence, the sheer coordination required, moving massive stones, aligning them, and finishing surfaces with fine detail, remains difficult to replicate experimentally. The construction knowledge appears to have been practical, empirical, and highly refined, yet it remains tantalizingly opaque to modern observers. Facial expressions carved into the stone seem to communicate authority or myth, yet their meaning remains undeciphered. The subtle differences between heads suggest intentional individualization, implying a nuanced understanding of representation and symbolic communication. Some figures appear serene, others stern or contemplative, possibly reflecting social roles, spiritual beliefs, or historical memory. Without written records, the true messages encoded in these visages are inaccessible, leaving researchers to interpret based on context, analogy, and conjecture. The human presence captured in stone endures as a silent enigma, bridging tangible artistry and the unknown motives of a civilization long vanished. The distribution and clustering of the heads across multiple ceremonial centers suggest intentional placement, though the reasoning behind specific locations remains unknown. Some monuments face plazas, ritual pathways, or mounds, while others appear in relative isolation. These patterns may reflect hierarchical or cosmological significance, yet no comprehensive explanation accounts for every arrangement. The deliberate spatial relationships between sculptures point to cultural planning and forethought, implying that each head was integrated into a larger societal and ceremonial framework. The overall arrangement evokes both power and mystery, emphasizing control over space and meaning in ways that modern observers can scarcely reconstruct. Cultural echoes in later Mesoamerican societies point to a lasting influence, yet the full scope of what these later civilizations inherited remains mysterious. Iconography, ceremonial practices, and monumental architecture show threads of Olmec inspiration, though direct continuity is difficult to prove. The colossal heads may have served as precedents for symbolic authority, religious ideology, or communal memory. Traces of Olmec artistic language persist, yet the methods, significance, and societal role of the heads remain largely enigmatic. Their presence hints at an intellectual and cultural depth that shaped subsequent civilizations in ways that cannot be fully traced or quantified. Contemplating the effort required to create each head brings both admiration and perplexity, exposing gaps in our understanding of human ingenuity in that era. Scholars continue to experiment with plausible construction methods, yet none fully capture the combination of technical skill, social organisation, and symbolic vision required. Each head embodies both a feat of engineering and a mystery of cultural meaning, bridging the known and unknown. Standing before them, one confronts a society whose complexity, artistry, and intent were far greater than previously imagined, compelling ongoing inquiry and reflection. The Olmec colossal heads remain an unsettling testament to a civilization whose mastery and intentions continue to defy explanation. The Vedic Iron Pillar of Delhi, India. Rising from the grounds of the Qutb complex in Delhi, a towering iron column has fascinated scholars, metallurgists, and historians for centuries. Known as the Vedic Iron Pillar, it stands over 7 meters high and weighs more than 6 tons, yet its most remarkable feature is not its size but its extraordinary corrosion resistance. While other iron structures, exposed to the humid Indian climate for centuries, succumb to rust, this pillar remains remarkably preserved, challenging conventional understandings of metallurgy and forcing a reconsideration of the technological capabilities of ancient civilizations. The pillar's origins are as enigmatic as its composition. Experts attribute it to the Gupta period, roughly around the 4th century CE, yet some inscriptions hint at older Vedic knowledge. Carved into its surface are Sanskrit inscriptions in Brahmi script praising King Chandragupta II, a ruler celebrated for unifying northern India. Beyond its historical context, the craftsmanship itself provokes questions. Iron of such purity and scale should, according to modern understanding, have required processes that were thought impossible in that era, suggesting that ancient blacksmiths possessed knowledge that has since been lost. Its metallurgical composition reveals an intricate balance of iron, phosphorus, and traces of other elements, forming a protective passive layer that prevents rust. Modern scientists conducting chemical analyses found that the pillar's unique resistance arises from a thin film of Mesa white, an iron hydrogen phosphate, which continually forms on its surface when exposed to moisture. While this explains the scientific mechanism, it does not clarify how such technology was achieved without contemporary furnaces, controlled atmospheres, or refined chemical processes. The methods remain largely speculative, yet they hint at a sophistication far beyond what standard historical timelines allow. The pillar also challenges assumptions about the scale of ancient ironworking. Forging a single iron rod of this length and purity would require temperatures exceeding 1,200 degrees Celsius, careful control over carbon content, and repeated hammering to prevent brittleness. For centuries, archaeologists assumed such feats were impossible without modern machinery, yet the pillar has endured, standing unyielding to centuries of monsoons, temperature fluctuations, and human interference. Its very survival becomes a testament to technological mastery that was seemingly lost in the passage of time. Adding to the mystery is the pillar's precise geometric alignment and uniform cylindrical form. Despite being hammered into a single mass rather than cast, it retains consistent dimensions from base to apex, without obvious irregularities. Such precision suggests a level of measurement and quality control that surprises scholars, especially given the presumed tools available during the Gupta period. Each subtle curve and tapering of the pillar seems intentional, as if it were crafted with both functional and symbolic intentions, merging science with a cultural or religious purpose now obscured by history. Historical records surrounding the pillar are sparse, leaving much to speculation. Ancient texts rarely describe the techniques used to forge iron on this scale, and none offer instructions for preventing corrosion in tropical climates. Travellers and chroniclers who visited Delhi in later centuries remarked upon the pillar with awe, noting that it remained untarnished while nearby gates, statues, and ironwork had succumbed to rust. These observations repeatedly emphasised that the pillar defied ordinary expectations, earning it a legendary status among locals, who often attributed its endurance to divine or supernatural qualities. The Sanskrit inscriptions themselves deepen the enigma. They celebrate a king and describe the erection of the pillar as an act of devotion to Vishnu, yet the language also hints at older spiritual and scientific knowledge. Scholars have debated whether the pillar was originally constructed in its current location or transported from elsewhere, a proposition that raises further questions about the logistics of moving such a massive iron structure without modern cranes or vehicles. Each theory points to a culture that may have possessed engineering capabilities now largely forgotten. Modern metallurgists have repeatedly studied the pillar using X-ray fluorescence, spectroscopy, and other non-invasive methods to probe its composition. These studies confirm that the iron contains unusually high phosphorus content, which contributes to its anti-corrosive properties. This discovery has led some to hypothesize that ancient Indian smiths intuitively understood chemical reactions, perhaps through trial and error, to create an alloy far superior to what contemporary European blacksmiths could produce. The pillar thus becomes not only a monument of religious significance, but a silent archive of lost technical expertise. Its endurance is not merely a curiosity, it forces a re-evaluation of global technological history. If Indian artisans were capable of producing corrosion-resistant iron in the 4th century CE, or perhaps earlier, what other feats of engineering might have been possible at a time traditionally considered technologically primitive? The pillar's existence undermines the assumption that advanced metallurgy emerged solely in Europe during the Industrial Revolution, hinting that the Vedic or Gupta civilizations may have achieved innovations independently, centuries ahead of modern thought. Visitors often report an uncanny sensation when approaching the pillar, a combination of awe and subtle unease. The iron seems almost alive, unyielding yet delicate in its balance. Its smooth surface, polished by centuries of wind and human touch, reflects sunlight differently depending on the angle, creating the impression of movement or energy emanating from the metal itself. While these are subjective experiences, they echo the reverence ancient observers might have felt, suggesting that the pillar was intended as more than a functional object. It was a statement, a challenge, and a symbol of knowledge meant to endure. The pillar's resilience has inspired practical modern applications, as engineers and metallurgists seek to replicate its corrosion-resistant properties for contemporary use. Yet despite advanced technology, reproductions have never fully matched the original, with experiments often failing to replicate the subtle chemical and structural qualities that allow the pillar to withstand the passage of time. This persistent elusiveness reinforces the sense that the knowledge required to create it has been lost, hidden somewhere between history and myth, leaving only the pillar as a testament. In scholarly debates, the question of the pillar's age adds another layer of intrigue. While most accept a Gupta-era origin, metallurgical evidence hints that iron of this purity and size may have been produced earlier. Some researchers propose that the pillar is a remnant of a pre-Gupta tradition of ironworking, suggesting a technological continuum that predates known records. If so, it challenges the linear progression of history, forcing reconsideration of when and where advanced metallurgical practices first emerged on the subcontinent. The pillar continues to provoke fascination not only because of what it is, but because of what it represents: the persistence of human ingenuity, the mysteries of lost technology, and the fragile boundary between history and legend. Each monsoon, each generation of visitors, and each scientific study only reinforces the sense that this iron column has witnessed centuries of change, yet remains impervious, silently questioning our understanding of what ancient civilizations were truly capable of. It is a monument that embodies knowledge, power, and mystery simultaneously. Standing beneath the massive iron column, it is impossible not to feel a sense of dislocation, a subtle awareness that human achievement has deeper, older roots than most histories acknowledge. The Vedic iron pillar resists explanation not only because of its physical properties, but because it suggests a sophistication in thought, experimentation, and observation that is at odds with accepted timelines. It is at once a relic, a technological marvel, and a riddle encoded in metal. The pillar seems to defy time itself, silently guarding secrets of a civilization whose knowledge may have been far more advanced than anyone yet realizes. The White Sands Footprints, United States. For decades, scientists believed that humans first arrived in North America no earlier than 13,000 years ago, yet a series of footprints discovered at White Sands National Park has upended that assumption. Embedded in the pale gypsum sands, these impressions date back over 23,000 years, predating the widely accepted Clovis culture by thousands of years. The prints are not merely traces, they are frozen moments of motion, a testament to lives long vanished, preserved in a medium that is both fragile and enduring. Each step questions the timeline of human migration, forcing a re-evaluation of what was once considered settled history. The impressions themselves convey movement, direction, and intent, capturing the subtleties of human gait across millennia. Scientists can discern toe alignment, heel depth, and stride length, offering clues about the stature, weight, and speed of those who left them. There is an eerie intimacy to this evidence, a direct connection between observer and vanished individual, as though a person has walked across the present while inhabiting the distant past. These footprints reveal not only the presence of humans, but also their adaptation to a harsh environment, where survival required knowledge of terrain, resources, and endurance. Radiocarbon analysis of seeds found within the footprints provided the key to understanding their antiquity. The seeds, pressed into the gypsum alongside each step, returned ages of more than 23,000 years, startling researchers and provoking heated debate. Established migration theories were challenged as scientists wrestled with reconciling this evidence with the accepted narrative. The methods of dating were meticulous, yet even rigorous analysis could not diminish the profound implications. Humans were present in North America far earlier than conventional history acknowledges, leaving behind a trace both ephemeral and incontrovertible. The anatomical clarity of the footprints is extraordinary. Observers can identify arch curvature, toe separation, and subtle variations in pressure that suggest uneven terrain or fatigue. The tracks even preserve individual characteristics, allowing paleontologists to discern differences between adults and children, between barefoot individuals and those likely carrying burdens. These impressions provide a fleeting window into daily life, a moment of contact between human movement and the natural world. The footprints do not merely mark passage, they document a presence that was intimate, physical, and undeniably human. The ramifications of these findings extend beyond the site itself. For decades, the Clovis First model dominated North American archaeology, asserting that humans arrived from Siberia across the Bering Land Bridge only around 13,000 years ago. The White Sands footprints, dated nearly a decade earlier than this migration, challenge that paradigm. If humans were present on the continent at this time, it suggests a previously unrecognized dispersal, one that reconfigures our understanding of early colonization, survival strategies, and the pace of cultural development. Each print becomes evidence of a story that standard timelines cannot fully accommodate. Footprints at the site are not isolated. Multiple trails weave across the gypsum dunes, suggesting repeated or sustained movement. These tracks indicate that groups, possibly families or small communities, traverse the landscape over time, leaving a record of passage and presence. The repetition and distribution of prints imply deliberate travel, hunting or foraging patterns, a rhythm of life captured in an unforgiving medium. The dunes, ever shifting and fragile, preserve these moments almost by chance, offering a glimpse of behaviour, organisation, and persistence in a world otherwise devoid of material artefacts. Scientists from multiple disciplines have contributed to understanding the White Sands tracks. Geologists analyse the sediment and gypsum formations, archaeologists study spatial patterns, and paleoecologists reconstruct climate conditions. Together, their efforts reveal a picture of a cold, arid environment punctuated by seasonal water sources, vegetation patches, and predator-prey interactions. The footprints become more than impressions. They are clues to survival strategies, environmental adaptation, and human ingenuity. Despite the vast gulf of time, these subtle details allow modern researchers to reconstruct the world of the people who made them. Preservation remains a constant challenge. Wind-driven gypsum shifts and occasional rains can erase prints overnight, while the scientific study itself must be careful not to disturb the fragile surfaces. Discovery is often accidental. Footprints appear after storms or during low water periods, vanishing again as sands shift. The ephemeral nature of the evidence underscores its preciousness, turning each observation into a fleeting opportunity to witness the past directly. It is a reminder that history can vanish in a single day, and that every footprint may be the last testament to a story long untold. The public reaction to the discovery has been intense. News of the ancient tracks challenged textbook narratives, captivated amateur historians, and sparked discussion about pre-Clovis migrations. The footprints became emblematic of the unpredictability of the archaeological record, illustrating that accepted timelines are not immune to disruption. Scholars debate vigorously, balancing methodological caution with the undeniable evidence before them. For the general public, the idea that humans walked this land tens of thousands of years ago evokes a sense of wonder and unease, a realization that much of the past remains hidden, awaiting revelation. Comparisons with other ancient footprint sites highlight the significance of white sands. While traces in Oregon, South Carolina, and Mexico have provided valuable insights, none combine such extreme antiquity with the sheer clarity and volume found in New Mexico. The preservation of anatomical detail and repeated tracks distinguishes the site, making it a cornerstone for understanding early human activity in the Americas. Each footprint contributes a small piece to a larger puzzle, one that may redefine continental prehistory if interpreted carefully and contextually within the broader archaeological record. Yet mysteries remain. The identity of those who left these tracks, their cultural practices and the tools they carried are largely unknown. No artifacts accompany the footprints, leaving questions about subsistence strategies, social organisation, or symbolic behaviours. The human figures behind the prints are shadows, their presence recorded only in pressure marks pressed into gypsum. Archaeologists can reconstruct certain aspects of movement, but the deeper context, the motivations, fears, and daily lives of these people remains lost, leaving a haunting sense of absence alongside the undeniable physical evidence. Each footprint, preserved against the odds, conveys both knowledge and uncertainty. They suggest adaptation to an environment far older than modern records often allow, hint at migration routes previously unconsidered, and challenge assumptions about the timing of human dispersal. The prints carry a tension between fragility and permanence, presence and absence, history and mystery. Observing them is a reminder that the past is not fixed but constantly reshaped by evidence and interpretation, that each discovery has the power to unsettle even the most deeply held assumptions. The White Sands footprints stand as a silent record of human presence long before the world knew their names. They're intimate yet elusive, ephemeral yet enduring, a bridge between our imagination and what once was tangible. They compel a reconsideration of how humans colonized a continent, how they adapted to environmental pressures, and how fleeting moments can echo across millennia. The evidence is subtle but undeniable, and it demands attention, reflection, and awe. Each impression endures as a whisper from a vanished people, silently defying the timelines we once accepted as truth. The Bimini Road Formation, Bahamas. A straight line of massive limestone blocks appeared to defy explanation, prompting scientists to question whether these formations were the result of natural forces or the work of an unknown civilization. First documented in 1968 by local divers, the arrangement immediately attracted attention for its seemingly deliberate layout, which contrasted sharply with surrounding reefs. The stones form angular stretches and intersecting lines, giving the impression of intent in a landscape long submerged. Even casual observation hints at precision, creating a tension between what the eye perceives and what conventional geology allows. Each block seems to ask whether it belongs to nature, humans, or something else entirely. Observers noted patterns that seemed deliberate, intersecting angles, repeated dimensions, and alignments that gave the impression of a constructed pathway rather than a random jumble of stones. Divers reported that some sections extend over long stretches, forming straight rows that occasionally meet at right angles. Light refracted through these turquoise waters accentuates these lines, enhancing the sense of geometry. The more researchers examined photographs and measurements, the more puzzling the formation appeared. Even the casual observer senses something unusual. These are not just stones scattered by currents, but a silent pattern preserved beneath the waves, inviting inquiry and speculation. Analysis of the limestone composition confirmed its natural origin, yet the repetitive layout and uniform sizing of the stones suggested a level of order rarely seen in unmodified reefs. Sediment studies indicate that the rocks are marine limestone, deposited over millennia, yet the alignment of blocks is statistically improbable as a purely natural occurrence. Some researchers highlight how erosion typically produces irregular surfaces, yet here angles and flat faces repeat across multiple sections. The juxtaposition of natural material with unnatural arrangement forces a confrontation with uncertainty. Are these stones simply a quirk of geology, or are they a message frozen in time and water? Rows of angular stones stretch in lines that intersect at near right angles, suggesting a geometric order that most natural formations do not replicate. From certain vantage points, the formation resembles a rudimentary roadway, while other sections suggest walls or platforms. The human mind instinctively searches for intent in symmetry, and the Bimini arrangement exploits this tendency, leaving observers caught between awe and skepticism. Some researchers speculate that if humans played a role, the builders would have required knowledge of surveying, construction, and coastal navigation that predates recorded history, making the site both fascinating and frustratingly opaque. Accounts from early explorers and oral traditions from the region hint at advanced seafaring knowledge among ancient peoples, offering tantalizing clues without definitive proof. Maps from the 16th century show islands and reefs, but no explicit mention of any submerged structures. Meanwhile, local lore tells of lands lost beneath the waves, places once inhabited or travelled, now silent beneath the ocean. While historians caution against conflating myth with evidence, these stories underscore that the Caribbean has long been a zone of mystery and human movement. The formation at Bimini sits at the intersection of legend, observation, and scientific curiosity, challenging assumptions at every turn. Divers documented consistent spacing, length, and orientation in the stones, creating an impression of precision that has persisted even after centuries underwater. Sonar scans and underwater photography reveal multiple parallel alignments, with some blocks appearing to have been deliberately placed or levelled. The geometry persists across various depths, resisting explanations based solely on natural sedimentation or reef formation. Each dive produces new measurements and angles to study, yet the overall pattern remains as enigmatic as ever. Observers describe a disorienting effect. The mind wants to assign human agency, while the evidence stubbornly resists easy categorization, leaving an uneasy fascination in its wake. Some geologists argue that natural jointing and erosion could explain the formations, while others assert that the geometry is too exact to be coincidental. Opinions remain sharply divided. Proponents of a natural origin point to marine processes that can create long, flat limestone slabs, while others insist the apparent alignment, intersection, and flatness hint at intervention. Conferences, papers, and field studies have wrestled with this tension for decades. The formation becomes a case study in scientific humility, illustrating how a single site can provoke both methodological rigor and imaginative speculation, reminding us that nature often blurs the lines between the expected and the inexplicable. Over time, currents and marine life have both concealed and preserved these patterns, creating a puzzle that is visible only in certain conditions. Algae, coral growth, and shifting sands obscure portions of the site, while clear water and low tides reveal its geometry. The formation is ephemeral in its visibility, yet persistent in its presence, a paradox that mirrors the tension between natural forces and potential human influence. Each observation must be carefully timed and executed to capture meaningful data, making the study of Bimini both challenging and thrilling. The ocean itself becomes a collaborator in the mystery, alternately hiding and revealing what has endured for centuries. When compared with other underwater structures, Bimini stands out for its linearity and apparent design, prompting debates about possible human influence. Submerged platforms in the Caribbean and Mediterranean provide useful analogues, yet few match Bimini in clarity and scale. Its combination of straight rows, near right angles, and repeating block dimensions is rare in naturally occurring reefs. This distinctiveness fuels speculation that an unknown prehistoric society may have shaped or enhanced the formation. Whether natural or artificial, Bimini commands attention, serving as a reminder that history is not always apparent on the surface, and that human, or possibly lost activity, may leave subtle but profound traces. Should the formation prove artificial, it would indicate prehistoric construction skills and navigation abilities far beyond what conventional timelines credit. Ancient builders would have needed tools capable of shaping and moving heavy limestone blocks, as well as knowledge of underwater or nearshore engineering. Such a revelation would challenge assumptions about the technological capabilities of early societies in the Caribbean, potentially rewriting aspects of maritime history. The possibility that this formation was deliberately constructed provokes questions about lost knowledge, forgotten trade routes, or civilizations whose existence we can only glimpse through these submerged stones. The formation's precise origin, intended function, and age remain elusive, leaving experts to confront a puzzle that resists definitive interpretation. Despite extensive studies, no conclusive dating or artifact has confirmed human involvement. Theories range from ceremonial pathways to defensive walls, yet evidence remains circumstantial. Each new dive, measurement, or survey uncovers details that can be interpreted multiple ways, reinforcing the formation's enigmatic nature. It is a mystery that endures precisely because it challenges assumptions. The evidence exists and yet remains silent, prompting observers to confront both what is known and what is forever uncertain beneath the sea. The enigmatic lines evoke a sense of order and purpose, a silent message preserved beneath water, urging observers to wonder who or what arranged them. Light filters through these shallow waves, casting shadows across flat stone surfaces and emphasizing angles and intersections. Divers report a surreal stillness as they hover above the formations, the ocean muffling sound while amplifying the sense of scale and order. Each perspective yields subtle variations, yet the impression of deliberate pattern remains, compelling reflection and speculation. The Bimini Road remains a puzzle, an underwater enigma that draws the curious and the skeptical alike. The stones rest in quiet precision, hinting at knowledge and intent that may have been lost to time and tide. The Nebra Sky Disc, Germany. A small bronze disc unearthed in 1999 immediately challenged assumptions about Bronze Age knowledge, its gold inlays hinting at an understanding of the heavens far older than previously believed. Found near the town of Nebra in Saxony-Anhalt, Germany, the artifact measures just over 30 centimeters across, yet its symbolic complexity rivals much larger and later works. The disc's discovery caused immediate excitement and controversy, not only because of its precision, but because it seemed to place astronomical sophistication in Europe centuries before historians had expected. Each gold motif carries meaning, a cipher of celestial knowledge carefully encoded into metal by hands now lost to time. Close examination revealed a constellation of gold symbols, sun, moon, and stars, laid out with such deliberate precision that modern astronomers could map their positions to celestial events. Tiny arcs and circles appear to denote lunar and solar phases, while a cluster of small dots aligns with the Pleiades star cluster. The arrangement is striking in its accuracy, suggesting that whoever created it possessed both careful observational skills and a conceptual framework for understanding the night sky. The disc's design invites speculation. Was it a calendar, a ritual object, or a tool for navigation? The evidence provides no direct answer, only the tantalizing presence of knowledge far ahead of its time. Laboratory tests and archaeological context confirmed the disc's age at around 3,600 years, firmly placing it in the Bronze Age and raising questions about the sophistication of early European cultures. Thermoluminescence, radiocarbon dating of associated artifacts, and stratigraphic analysis all corroborate this timeframe, giving the disc a firm place in prehistory. Its age is particularly significant because it predates any known European star maps by several centuries. Scholars find themselves confronting a paradox. A small portable object containing information previously thought impossible for this era, demanding a re-evaluation of assumptions about early science and observational ability in Bronze Age societies. The arrangement of celestial motifs aligns with solstices and the Pleiades cluster, demonstrating knowledge of the night sky that predates comparable historical records by centuries. Lines marked on the disc correspond to sunrise and sunset angles at the summer and winter solstices, suggesting its use as a solar calendar. Such alignments would have required careful observation over years, perhaps generations, hinting at sustained astronomical practice. The Pleiades cluster, central to many ancient cultures for agricultural and ritual purposes, reinforces the idea that this small disk served a sophisticated purpose, blending practical and symbolic understanding in a single enigmatic object. Within the broader Bronze Age milieu, metallurgy, trade networks, and ritual practices suggest that the disc was both a scientific instrument and a symbolic object, reflecting an intersection of observation and belief. Bronze casting, gold inlay, and detailed etching indicate advanced craftsmanship, while its burial alongside swords, axes, and ceremonial items points to a ritualized context. The artifact exists at the intersection of technology, spirituality, and knowledge, suggesting that Bronze Age communities were capable of integrating observation of the natural world into cultural and ceremonial life in ways previously unrecognized. It embodies both human curiosity and reverence for cosmic order. Looters initially uncovered the disc, sparking intrigue and controversy, before archaeologists intervened to authenticate, conserve, and contextualize the artifact within Europe's prehistoric record. Its removal from the ground in secrecy initially complicated provenance, and debates arose over ownership and interpretation. Once recovered by authorities, painstaking conservation revealed the fine details of the gold inlays and minor abrasions, which offer clues to its handling and history. The story of its discovery is itself a testament to the challenges of preserving knowledge, highlighting how much human history teeters between exposure and loss, especially when extraordinary artifacts surface unexpectedly. Experts remain divided on its function. Some see a practical calendar, others a ceremonial object, underscoring the enduring tension between interpretive possibilities and hard evidence. Astronomers emphasize its potential use in tracking solar and lunar cycles, while archaeologists point to its inclusion in ritual hoards as evidence of symbolic significance. Neither perspective can fully account for all aspects of the disc. The combination of precise measurement and ceremonial placement suggests a dual function, or perhaps a purpose now unknowable. The debate itself fuels the artifact's mystique, reminding us that knowledge preserved in bronze can challenge interpretation across millennia. The craftsmanship required to cut, polish, and inlay gold on bronze with such accuracy demonstrates metallurgical techniques that continue to impress modern artisans and researchers alike. The tiny arcs and dots were hammered and etched with meticulous care, adhering to the metal's curves and thickness. Achieving such precision without modern tools underscores the skill and ingenuity of Bronze Age metalworkers. This level of refinement suggests that the knowledge and techniques necessary to create the disc were part of a sophisticated cultural tradition, one capable of combining artistry, observation, and scientific understanding in a single artifact, hinting at technological mastery that has since vanished. Buried for millennia, then recovered and restored, the disc now resides in museums where its gleaming symbols invite contemplation of both human ingenuity and the fragility of historical evidence. Careful display and conservation have preserved the bronze's patina and the subtle glint of gold, allowing researchers and the public to examine it closely. Observers can trace lines, count stars, and consider its potential applications, yet every observation deepens the mystery of the minds that produced it. It exists simultaneously as a window into Bronze Age Europe and as a puzzle that refuses definitive interpretation, bridging past and present in silent challenge. Its existence forces a reconsideration of early European astronomy, implying knowledge transmission and observational skill previously thought impossible for this period. The disc suggests that prehistoric communities were not simply primitive observers of the sky, but sophisticated trackers of celestial cycles. Understanding the solstice alignments and stellar references would have required long-term observation and meticulous recording, implying a cultural valuation of time, seasons, and cosmic phenomena. The artifact thus disrupts conventional narratives, demonstrating that Bronze Age Europeans may have possessed both intellectual and technical sophistication underestimated in standard historical timelines. Questions endure about the disc's creators, their methods for tracking celestial events, and the purpose for which this small yet powerful object was employed. We do not know whether it was a single scholar, a ritual specialist, or a community effort that produced the disc. Its portability suggests that it could have been used in ceremonies or education, moving through space and time while preserving knowledge. Every discovery raises new questions about the extent of prehistoric science and cultural exchange, as if the artifact itself is teasing scholars to uncover a truth that remains tantalizingly just out of reach. Gazing upon its golden symbols, one senses the hands of someone long gone, attentive to the sky with a precision and reverence that echoes across time. The faint scratches, deliberate arcs, and careful positioning of stars evoke a mind conversant with both art and observation. Each symbol is a bridge between epochs, connecting modern viewers to the curiosity and intelligence of Bronze Age individuals. It is not only a map of the heavens, but a testament to human ingenuity, a reminder that knowledge can survive the erosion of centuries in the smallest and most unassuming objects. A small bronze circle holds the secrets of the sky, whispering of knowledge far beyond its time and leaving the past as luminous as the stars it depicts. The Tiahuanaco Puma Punku stones, Bolivia. An engineering mystery unfolds in each precisely cut block, revealing skills that defy conventional timelines for pre-Columbian construction. The stones at Puma Punku form part of a sprawling complex that predates the Inca, yet their sophistication surpasses what is typically associated with Andean civilizations of the Bronze Age. Each massive block, sometimes weighing tens of tons, displays a precision that challenges conventional understanding of prehistoric technology. From perfectly flat surfaces to exacting angles, every piece seems deliberately engineered, leaving modern researchers grappling with questions about the tools, techniques, and knowledge required to shape and assemble these enigmatic structures. Edges meet at near-perfect right angles, and grooves interlock with a meticulous accuracy that suggests extraordinary geometric understanding. Many stones feature T-shaped slots and channels designed to fit seamlessly with neighbouring blocks, creating a modular system that allowed massive constructions to rise with astonishing uniformity. Observers note that these joints are so precise that, even today, modern stoneworkers would struggle to replicate them without mechanised equipment. The sheer regularity of the cuts implies planning and measurement on a scale that seems improbable for the period, revealing an intersection of artistry and engineering that continues to confound archaeologists. Massive andesite blocks weighing multiple tons were quarried and moved with methods that continue to baffle archaeologists and engineers alike. The closest known quarries are located several kilometres away, yet there is no evidence of roads or ramps adequate for moving such enormous stones. How the builders transported, manoeuvred, and positioned them with such precision remains unknown. Some blocks exhibit intricate grooves and drilled holes, suggesting the use of levers, ropes, and possibly water or other techniques to shift and align them. Every attempt to recreate the process experimentally has highlighted the extraordinary coordination and manpower that would have been required. The arrangement of stones implies intentional design within a larger architectural plan, reflecting careful foresight and coordination by their creators. Unlike scattered megaliths elsewhere, the Puma Punku blocks were clearly part of interdependent structures, where each piece relied on the exact dimensions of its neighbours. Certain blocks were hollowed or notched in ways that indicate advanced knowledge of weight distribution and structural stability. Their alignment may have held ritual, astronomical, or symbolic significance, though definitive evidence remains elusive. What is clear is that these blocks were not random. They form a carefully orchestrated puzzle whose original design continues to inspire both awe and speculation. Tongue and groove joints and precisely drilled holes demonstrate technical mastery far ahead of what was thought achievable for the period. Engineers and archaeologists examining the stones note that the drilling penetrates with uniform depth and diameter, a level of control that hints at advanced tools or techniques now lost. The interlocking shapes allowed for structures that could withstand shifting foundations, earthquakes or erosion, indicating a practical knowledge of mechanics combined with aesthetic consideration. The level of forethought required suggests that the builders were not improvising, but working with precise plans and measurements, raising questions about the intellectual framework behind their methods. Archaeologists meticulously map and measure each fragment, piecing together an incomplete structure that hints at its original grandeur. Many stones lie toppled, fractured, or eroded, yet careful analysis reveals the scale and sophistication of the original constructions. Each measurement uncovers subtle patterns in block size, orientation, and spacing, suggesting a standardized approach to construction. Reconstructing the original forms is challenging, but the fragments themselves speak volumes about the skills of the ancient builders. Their methods, once reconstructed, may reveal insights into engineering principles that were advanced for their time and seem to vanish from the historical record. Interpretations diverge widely, from explanations rooted in advanced human ingenuity to suggestions of lost techniques no longer known. Some researchers argue that the precision reflects centuries of accumulated skill within a highly organised society, while others speculate that techniques were once widespread but disappeared due to societal collapse. The debate itself highlights the tension between observable evidence and historical assumptions. Regardless of the explanation, the Puma Punku stones force a confrontation with the limits of what we believe early civilizations could achieve. challenging the conventional narrative of technological progress in pre-Columbian South America. Marks left by chisels and drills indicate patient, deliberate work, revealing an understanding of angles, alignment, and material properties that remain striking. Some surfaces are polished, others show minute incisions that indicate repeated refinement, as if the builders tested each method before committing to the final cut. The drilling of holes through dense andesite without fracturing the stone points to a high degree of skill, suggesting techniques that may have been experimental, iterative, and carefully supervised. Each mark invites speculation about the tools used, the labour involved, and the knowledge required to achieve results that continue to inspire admiration centuries later. Puma Punku stands in sharp contrast to nearby Andean constructions, its scale, precision, and modular design setting it apart as an unparalleled achievement. While other regional sites exhibit impressive architecture, none display the combination of massive size and meticulous interlocking systems seen here. The stone's uniformity and the apparent planning involved indicate a sophisticated understanding of geometry, logistics, and spatial design. This singularity raises questions about whether knowledge of such techniques was localized, passed down, or deliberately lost. The site's uniqueness ensures that it continues to captivate scholars, engineers, and travelers, provoking awe and a persistent sense of wonder. If intentional, the stones imply a civilization capable of advanced surveying, planning, and organizational skill, challenging the established chronology of early technological development in South America. The coordination required to move, shape, and assemble enormous stones, combined with the geometric precision evident in each block, suggests methods not reflected in other contemporary sites. Evidence of standardized measurements and repeated patterns hints at systematic knowledge that may have been codified and taught. The result is a construction project that not only demonstrates technical ability, but also reflects a vision of scale, durability, and design that continues to inspire both admiration and bafflement. How massive blocks were cut, transported, and assembled remains unresolved, leaving the skill and organization of the builders tantalizingly out of reach. Experiments with manual methods highlight the enormous effort required, yet do not fully account for the accuracy achieved. Scholars continue to debate the possible techniques, including the use of levers, sledges, inclined planes, or unknown methods entirely. The absence of clear historical records or surviving tools only intensifies the mystery, emphasizing that Puma Punku represents a remarkable intersection of human creativity, ambition, and the limits of what was considered possible in antiquity. Even toppled and fractured, the stones exude an aura of meticulous intention, inspiring both wonder and lingering questions about the minds that shaped them. Observers walking among the scattered blocks feel a silent dialogue with the builders, a connection across centuries forged by skill and design. Every groove, angle, and interlock suggests deliberation, while the overall scale reinforces the audacity of the project. Puma Punku is at once tangible and elusive, its physicality undeniable, yet its construction, purpose, and meaning remain shrouded in layers of mystery that continue to resist definitive interpretation. Each block seems to hold a question in stone, daring us to imagine the hands and minds that turned rock into an enduring enigma. The Denisovan Discovery, Siberia. A single finger bone and a fragment of tooth uncovered in a remote Siberian cave would unravel assumptions about humanity's past. Deep within Denisova Cave, hidden among the Altai Mountains, these tiny remnants initially appeared unremarkable, yet they concealed a story that would change the understanding of human evolution. Archaeologists first catalogued them carefully, noting their stratigraphic position amid layers of sediment spanning tens of thousands of years. The small fragments, preserved against time and decay, hinted at an unknown hominin whose existence would remain invisible until modern genetic analysis illuminated the ancient lineage lying dormant in stone and bone. Layer upon layer of sediment preserved evidence of multiple occupations, each telling a silent story of Ice Age survival. Hearths, stone tools, and fragments of animal bone indicated repeated habitation under extreme climatic conditions, where winters were long and survival demanded ingenuity. The cave, with its overhangs and natural shelter, served as a refuge for creatures both human and animal. Excavators meticulously recorded each context, aware that even the smallest fragment could hold secrets of migration, adaptation and interaction. Amid these layers, the Denisovan remains waited quietly, their presence obscured by time, ready to rewrite the accepted narrative of human history. When scientists sequenced the ancient DNA, it revealed a lineage unknown to science, branching from the human family tree in unexpected ways. Unlike Neanderthals or early Homo sapiens, Denisovans appeared as a distinct population whose genome suggested both isolation and interaction with other hominins. The revelation astonished the scientific community. A previously invisible species had left a genetic footprint detectable only in the microscopic double helix of a single finger bone. Each sequence uncovered more surprises, including evidence of interbreeding, suggesting that these ancient humans were not merely contemporaries, but active participants in the unfolding story of our species. Robust bones and unusually large molars hinted a species shaped by harsh climates and demanding environments. From the morphology inferred from the few fossils, researchers concluded that Denisovans were adapted to life in frigid highlands and mountainous terrain. Their teeth, massive and durable, would have allowed them to process coarse foods, while their sturdy bones imply strength sufficient for hunting, foraging and survival in unforgiving landscapes. Though the fossil record is minimal, each fragment offers tantalizing clues, providing a glimpse of a species whose physicality was intimately tied to resilience, endurance, and adaptation to extreme conditions. Genetic traces in modern populations demonstrate that Denisovans interbred with Homo sapiens, leaving a subtle but enduring legacy across Asia and Oceania. People today, from the high plateaus of Tibet to the islands of Melanesia, carry fragments of Denisovan DNA that contribute to traits such as altitude, adaptation, and immune function. These findings reveal that our ancestors were not isolated, but rather engaged in a complex network of interactions with other human lineages. The implications are profound. A species that seemed nearly invisible continues to influence human biology, bridging the gap between mystery and the living present. The cave's occupants overlapped in time and space with Neanderthals and early humans, suggesting a complex mosaic of interaction and migration across Eurasia. Stratigraphic evidence shows that Denisovans shared regions and possibly resources with other hominins, challenging simplistic notions of isolation. The interactions may have included trade, territorial negotiation, or even conflict, though the fossil and archaeological evidence remains fragmentary. What is clear is that the landscape of Ice Age Eurasia was a dynamic environment where multiple human species coexisted, intersected, and exchanged genes, creating a web of ancestry more intricate than previously imagined. This discovery challenges long-held models, revealing that the human story is far more intricate, with parallel lineages weaving through prehistory. The existence of Denisovans disrupts the traditional linear narrative of evolution, highlighting instead a branching, reticulated pattern of migration, adaptation, and interbreeding. Every new finding, from a molar to a mitochondrial sequence, reveals how these branches intertwined with early Homo sapiens, rewriting assumptions about timelines and geographic distribution. The Denisovan genome underscores the complexity of human ancestry, demonstrating that what we once believed to be a singular story of origin is in fact a tapestry of overlapping species, migrations, and genetic legacies. Despite their genetic footprint, almost nothing is known about Denisovan culture, behaviour, or their full geographic range, leaving vast gaps in the record. No clear evidence of art, symbolic objects, or permanent settlements has been definitively linked to this population. Archaeologists and geneticists are left to infer behaviours from their DNA and the occasional associated artefact. The absence of a more complete material culture adds to the enigma, suggesting a people whose presence was felt through subtle biological traces rather than monumental architecture or surviving tools, leaving an imprint on history that is invisible yet undeniable. Scattered stone tools and traces of ornaments suggest ingenuity, yet without direct association, the sophistication of their culture remains tantalizingly elusive. Some implements found in Denisova Cave predate those of neighbouring populations, hinting at technological knowledge that may have been unique or advanced for the period. Tiny beads carved from bone or tooth, if indeed made by Denisovans, hint at symbolic or aesthetic expression. Each discovery raises new questions. What traditions did they follow? How did they communicate? And what role did innovation play in their daily survival? the mystery endures, with every fragmentary artifact sparking more speculation than certainty. Studying a species known from fragments requires extraordinary care, with contamination, degradation, and limited samples creating ongoing debate over interpretation. The extraction of ancient DNA involves painstaking protocols to avoid modern human contamination, and even then, results must be confirmed across multiple laboratories. Scientists must also contend with environmental factors such as temperature and microbial activity that degrade biological material over millennia. Despite these challenges, each successful analysis brings clarity and complexity in equal measure, revealing a species simultaneously tangible and ephemeral, anchored in genetics yet elusive in the archaeological record. Some adaptations in living humans, from immunity to high-altitude survival, trace back to Denisovan DNA, connecting ancient mystery to contemporary biology. Tibetan populations, for instance, carry variants that allow for efficient oxygen processing, likely inherited from interbreeding with Denisovans tens of thousands of years ago. Other populations bear genetic remnants influencing immune response and metabolism. These discoveries underscore the ongoing impact of a nearly invisible species, suggesting that Denisovans continue to shape the human experience in subtle biological ways, reminding us that history is not only recorded in stone, but in our own very cells. The faint shadow of this almost invisible population lingers in caves, in genes, and in questions that science has yet to answer. Researchers are left to imagine daily life from the tiniest clues: a finger bone, a tooth, a stone tool. Each fragment opens a window into a vanished lineage, but the view is partial, obscured by millennia of time. As new technologies emerge, from genome sequencing to microstratigraphy, the hope remains that more of the Denisovan story can be reconstructed. Yet, for now, their presence is as much a question as an answer, a reminder that much of human history is still hidden beneath layers of earth and expectation. A few pieces hold the memory of a people who walked alongside our ancestors, yet vanished without a trace.